This has been a very interesting Cust Corner with cell phone chargers, Tim's Tik Tok, bidets, chairs, hotels, solitude, the right of privacy, chia pets, and murder.
I didn't even get into my whole thing that there should be a warehouse for people who live in small spaces to buy stuff in bulk from Costco and store it there and have easy access. But we'll talk about that at another day.
No. Go on about that. I want to hear about this.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 15 spread picks, Cust Corner, free money, SUPERLOCKS, and the other nonsense which will come up on this episode. I'm sure. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Help us out around the holiday season and smash the like. Subscribe to the channel. Geoff Fienberg, wired in, who claims he's done this many times before. But I want to know in the comment section if you've ever seen Geoff wear a set of headphones on this show, because I've never seen it.
I definitely have.
No, never.
Yeah. At least twice this season.
Twice this season. Are you finding it's hard to hear without them?
I like it more. Sometimes, the kids are getting home from school. I don't know. I just hear it.
No. How's your
I like it.
How's your week been going?
The week's fine. The week is young. Everything is good. No complaints.
Are there I have a Christmas concert to go to this week. Is there a Hanukkah song that they perform at the school?
Okay. I'm sure there is, but yeah, there's a holiday play at my kid's school on Thursday. So yeah, I'll probably be having to go to that. And there's some other holiday things. The stuff at the school is kind of annoying, but other than that, I enjoy most of the holiday stuff.
Yeah, I have to go to the Christmas concert right before I film with Rob and Cam for the Best Bet show. So I'll be in a mood, I feel like, coming off either a very cheery mood or like, what am I doing sitting through this? Because I know that my son is going to be the first up, so I'll be able to leave after the first performance, but I know my wife won't want to. So I'll have to sit there for like an hour and a half, listen to like a bunch of 6-year-olds sing. It's going to be awful.
Yeah, that is bad. I don't know. Maybe you and your wife can take separate cars.
Maybe that's the move. I mean, maybe I'm misreading the situation with her. We'll be able to get out of there quickly, and all will be good. I want to know the etiquette on that specific scenario
You're supposed to stay. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the etiquette is you're supposed to stay, even if your kid's class is first. That's the etiquette. But you got things to do, and you're a dad, so you can get out of there.
From one Mr. Tim Cust.
Cust.
That is not my name. I think you are free to leave as soon as your child has performed if you would like to leave. I don't have any qualms with it. There's not going to be a curtain call. They're not going to come back out for an encore. If you want to leave, I think it's fine. You aren't there to see anybody else's kid. You're there to see your own. So once your kid is done, I think your obligation is met.
All right. So, yeah, I'm going to say it's 2-1 on this one or actually 3-0 because I'm actually in on this one as well. That, yeah, maybe I can twist my wife's arm to get out of there. I do believe she got us front row tickets to this. So
get out of here. You're not going nowhere.
Yeah. I'm going to be stuck there, aren't I? I might be late to record the show tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Or you could just leave. What's going to happen? Are you going to get arrested? Are people going to speak badly about you? Don't live in the esteem of others. Just get up and leave.
Yeah, it's more about that if my son sees us leave and, the other kids start talking like, hey, where'd your parents go? I wouldn't want them to go through that.
Did that ever happen to you when you did Christmas concerts growing up?
My entire family always stayed.
Okay, but do you remember people leaving and there being side conversations in the classroom that evening while you're waiting for someone said, oh, Johnny's parents left, or like, of course not. That never happened. That never happens.
I mean, you know me well enough to know that I don't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, let alone something that happened 35 years ago.
Well, just the way you cited it made me think that you were like quoting from some sort of memory.
No, unlike you, I try to put myself into the shoes of others, and I wouldn't.
I do too.
No, you don't. You try to project how you feel at all times onto people.
I try to see things from the perspective of somebody else.
No, you try to see things if you were another person, here's how I would act. So they must act that way.
But also Tim sees it like, because he's can be pretty selfish with how he sees things or his etiquette POVs. And
I can be selfish. I can be selfish.
But I can acknowledge I'm selfish at times. But yeah, from your matzo sticks to your, I'll walk in at close and sit in your restaurant. The etiquette of not leaving is at its core. If everyone leaves, then when the last, group goes, there's like 12 parents sitting in a whole auditorium. And they don't want like parents just like herding out in groups after each class. But
who's they? The principal? Oh no, you wouldn't want to be offside with the elementary school principal. Or the music teacher. Like, your kid only cares that you and your family are there.
Yeah, but
if there's an empty auditorium except you, they'll be happy because you're there. So you're not upsetting anybody. Who are you upsetting?
This isn't a problem other than like the front row thing. Like, you gotta not be in the front row, and then you just sort of slink out.
Someone will fill that.
You just slink
out. It's
out.
Like the Academy Award. Someone will fill that seat.
I mean, no, listen. Anyone who wants to slink out after their kid, I don't hold it against them. I'm just saying, like, there might even be they encourage the people to stay so the place just doesn't keep emptying out. I think that there's an etiquette behind it. But yeah, oh my God, if my kid going first, that sounds like a torture. I mean, they're both torture chambers. Your kid going last is also a torture chamber. But if your kid goes first and your wife makes you stay, that's a torture chamber. But you just you're a man of action and business, and you made the effort to come on a weekday morning, and once your kid goes, you can leave and let your wife stay. That'd be my tip.
Tim, I believe that Geoff is saying that I am a tight end of industry.
Absolutely. You are a titan of industry and a captain of industry.
Let's recap last week. Tim, did you know that the picks standings are getting awfully close now?
Yep, I sure do.
You now have a 4-game lead over Geoff after losing the week, going 3-9. The coin was 4-8.
Yeah.
Geoff was 4-8, and I was 7-5. So I made a move here. So Geoff is 91-108. I'm 90-109. You're now 95-104, and the coin sits at 99-100. This is completely wide open again. However, you won your teaser, and you were the only one to win your super lock to bring you a game behind Geoff for the overall total.
Thank you very much. And thank you for mentioning the teaser. And between this show and the Best Bet show, we are giving you good content. We're just not giving you good picks.
Cam was 3-0 this week.
You should let him pick the Panthers now. We were talking about this in the house.
No,
I think
this is why people think they can get away with anything in life, Tim, because you bend the rules because you don't want to enforce anything. He made a bet. He lost. We are holding them to it.
He did his time, and it's
he didn't. It was I can't use them the rest of the year. So you know what? He can't use them the rest of the year.
I think you should use some clemency here and let him have the last 4 weeks of the season. If he wants to make the Panthers a pick, that's fine.
No,
I think he's done his time.
It is absolutely not fine. Geoff, you weigh in.
I mean, listen, I'm a sucker for Cam, so I wouldn't have been able to hold out this long, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't know. Pardon?
Yeah, commute the sentence. Give him a pardon.
But no. I don't know. The Panthers just seem like a different team now. But no, the deal was the deal. He lost out. He still has his bet with Pat. So there's that rooting interest on the Panthers. I'm sure he has a win total on the Panthers. And I'm sure he's still betting on the Panthers. But for the purposes of the show, no, we can't use.
But if he's betting on them and he's got all these picks on them and he likes them every week, then I think for the sake of the show, if they're one of his 3 best bets, then he shouldn't be encumbered against giving them.
He bet on them in a loser leaves town match after using them 5 consecutive weeks, and they lost, and he lost again. He can't use them.
Yeah, but I was at WrestleMania 7. Macho Man lost to Warrior in a retirement match. And then he came back. They let him back.
He was in the Hoosier Dome. He hoisted up Miss Elizabeth. All was well in the world. But then they ran into some trouble. They needed to bring Macho back for Survivor Series that year.
Yeah, it was LA Sports Coliseum, but for that one. But yes, he got into it. Yes, he had to.
What was the Hoosier? Oh, Hoosier
7
Dome
was
eight.
LA.
And so 8 was
8 was the Hoosier Dome.
Eight was Flair. No, was that? Yeah, that was
Yeah, Flair, Macho, and
at 8, and Hogan and Sid Justice.
Yeah, but 8 was also. I'm just telling you. Yeah, and then was 9 Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, 9 was Caesar's Palace.
So yeah, 8 was the Hoosier Dome.
Oh yeah, 7 was the one where it was supposed to be the Coliseum, but they didn't sell enough tickets and they had to
moved it,
move it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was actually at 7 in Los Angeles. It worked over my March break. That was also the blindfold match with Martel and
Jake and Martel.
Jake,
Yeah.
and obviously that was the that was Hogan Slaughter, but the highlight was Warrior Savage. That was a fun match, and some other things. But yes, I don't know. Cam, he went 3-0. I've been doing well last couple weeks. Nice like withdrawals and meetups and the good stuff, and then I got a little cocky with my football thoughts, and I got hard. And there was a moment on Sunday where I'm like hyper fixated on Saints Giants.
Me too.
And I just felt like, don't get me wrong, I'm out with the boys on Sunday. We're hanging. The camaraderie is there. But I am like truly fixated, like sweating it hard. And I'm thinking like I left my wife alone with 3 kids today so I could like watch Saints Giants. I have a problem. And then by the time the Dolphins and Jets ended and you came up for air, like the Bears game was already over. And I was dumb enough to bet them. So yeah, I did responsibly. I got my ass kicked.
Oh, so you were on the Saints side, not the Giants side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough beat.
Yeah. So I got pretty good on Sunday. The actually only thing of substantial like wager that I did well on was the Chargers, and Herbert doesn't throw a pick. So as long as that doesn't happen,
You should have wagered the over on Joey Bosa offsides, because you would have made a bundle, because I think the over under should have been about 33 and he would have exceeded it. What a terrible performance that was from him. I was so frustrated watching that game. As someone who wanted to see the Chiefs kind of lose that game, Bosa's lack of discipline was quite shocking.
Well, it wasn't even his fault because the right tackle.
It's always his fault. It's always.
But
his
I actually
fault.
thought he had a couple good pressures and a sack. Like there's games I'll come at Bosa. There's really no one on the defense I want to come at from Sunday. But you fall on the sword, you bleed, you lie down for a bit, and you get back up and fight again. This team, as like the Chargers, they're exactly like what they are. There's a class of team in the league that they can beat, and there's almost most of the league they can hang with. But there's just a handful of teams they're just not ready to play with. Like they're just not. They need another offseason of skill position, and maybe they could win like a playoff game because they're like feisty and we could convert some third downs and we can get someone in the mud with us. But there's no way this group can beat like the teams that are required to go on a run, because like if you can't score 35, you can't beat the Bills, the Chiefs,
the Chiefs
Ravens,
can't score
the
35
Lions.
either.
Sure, but fine. Take the Chiefs out. But like if there's no level up in your ability to score points, you can't run off like 3 or 4 games in a row against really good teams.
Agreed. That's why I think the Chiefs yeah, I agree. That's why the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Oh, anyone should want to
are
play
in
the
real
Chiefs.
trouble. Are in real trouble.
Well, I don't think it's fair to put us in the same.
Only because I don't think you can score enough, and I don't think they can score enough, and I think at some point,
But here's the difference.
You have to score 38 points, and I don't think either of those teams could do it.
Firstly, I don't think it's fair to put us in the same group. The Chiefs are among the teams that will probably have to battle those teams. The Chargers, maybe they'd win a game, maybe they'd go one and done, maybe they'll miss the playoffs. If you've ever watched a Charger game with me, if they're up by 14 points with 5 minutes left, I still think they're going to lose. And it kind of feels like there's a month left. They're up a couple games on a playoff spot. Like, so I always think the rug's going to get pulled up. I think that's still in the range of outcomes. But I don't think, I mean, like, yes, they're in trouble, but we're not in the same class of the Chiefs. And maybe the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl, and maybe they'll get their ass kicked in the playoffs. And I would hope it doesn't matter what the result is. When they lose in the postseason, if they lose, I would expect their fans to stand up at the conclusion of the game and just applaud. Just applaud. Because they're just house money now. Like, anything they can pull off for this year would feel like house money. And their fans should be honored to get to be along for this ride and try to win 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Let's get to Thursday Night Football, a battle of teams who are alive for the playoffs right now. The Rams at the Niners. The Niners holding on by a thread. The Rams in pretty good position here, especially if they can win this game. The Niners are 2.5-point favorites. It's a short week. The Rams coming off a huge win and was probably the game of the year, at least to watch, against the Bills on Sunday. And the Niners coming off their best performance of the year, just beating down the Bears, even though if they tried to slip it away a little bit and midway through the third quarter, then that just stopped because the Bears are actually like no good. So that's not super helpful. But 2.5, this seems like a spot where everyone's going to be on the Rams, Geoff. And I'm such an idiot. I kind of like the Niners.
I like the Niners. You get this bet, your win of the year. In what you're saying was the game of the year. I'll fade you the next week. I'm going to come in here with the 49ers. I was so dumb to like Chicago last week, even if I got like a key full point of CLV, shove it up my ass. So useless that was. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to recap the game of nothing in my head. Chicago came out in the second half and scored like a 10-minute touchdown drive. Was that the moment they were in the game? I don't know what moment you're referring to.
That was it. It was like, yeah, if they can string together another one here, they're only down by 2 touchdowns. And then, yeah, it was it.
I mean, at least, yeah, I don't know, got to watch Bills Rams. That was fun. I like the 49ers here at home, short week, like, considering how I don't know, the Bears were a sharp side last week, except based on the line. Now, I guess all of us like Bear losers are going to go back to the 49ers this week and like lose again. But I'm going to go back to the 49ers because I'll zig and I'll lose more on the NFL.
You've been fairly anti-49ers, Tim. Do you want to make it around to 49ers? Or are you going to stick with the Rams?
With less confidence in you all, I will take the Rams. Only because I'm getting a couple of points in a divisional matchup. And I just think the Rams side should be able to just outmuscle San Francisco. I think Nakua healthy is a real problem for what they're doing in the secondary. I think they're going to have trouble stopping Stafford, getting enough pressure on him to make him make mistakes. I mean, I'm getting the superior quarterback getting 2.5 points in division in a short week. I just think, even though I think it's hard to trust the Rams because they came off a stretch of games where they very much underperformed before that Buffalo game, I think I'm convinced they're the better team. The book seems to think they're equal. I don't agree. I think the Rams are the better team, and I will take them here. I think there's a slight bit of value on the Rams here.
Just trying to
Didn't the line though last week? And even if you bet Buffalo, you kind of like stared at it like this, just a bit of it doesn't feel right. And the line even got shorter from the show to the game. I mean, it's weird to say I want to take something away from the Rams for like such a great win. But I feel like in some ways the spread and the lead up and the spot, it's just like, yeah, the Rams really might take it to the Bills today. So I wasn't totally shocked. And I'm ready to fade them off it.
They're a really interesting team looking forward into the playoffs because they would be, even if they could get in as the 3 seed or if they somehow manage to squeak out a 7 seed in this, if they end up winning out and the Seahawks end up winning out at the same time, or I know they play each other in week 18, but if there's some sort of scenario where they both get in, like how devastating would it be to see this Rams offense as the 7 seed if you're the Eagles?
On a counter flip, if the 49ers can get themselves back into it, how gross would it be to win a division? I mean, to for the 49ers to get into the playoffs and then
I don't
draw
think
them in the
anybody
first
is.
round.
I don't think anybody is worried about this
Oh,
version of the.
I was going to say that they would be the most terrifying team in the NFC if they were to make them. That means
way.
that means they would have ran off like 5 in a row to win. They would have got their shit
Don't
together,
care.
and you
Don't
wouldn't
care.
if they reel off
Washington
5
would
in a
beat them.
row.
Washington would beat them.
I don't think it'd be a fun first round draw. Like you see, like that's all. Like you just
San Francisco would be a one and done type of team. If
Okay,
they make the playoffs.
I mean, maybe it's a stupid argument, and Tim gets to sound right because they're probably not, and he's been putting them down, and I enjoy them playing like shit because then I get to make fun of Brandon Staley or just spin my wheels in circles on that in the mud. But I would be scared shitless, I guess, of any of these teams. The Rams would be tricky because they could really dial it up, and they got a couple guys on that defensive line that when they catch a taste, they got a motor, and maybe they could scare the shit out of someone as well. And clearly, it's kind of weird. I like all respect to Seattle, but I am kind of hoping that I'd like to see one of these teams find a way, I guess is what I'm saying.
No word yet on if Isaac Guerrero is going to go for the 49ers. He had a bit of a foot sprain, but they said they actually just took him out as a precautionary because they were up by so much. So I got everything wrong on the Sunday night show, Geoff, when I was talking about this. And we have one person in our fantasy football league who's very upset with Tim right now. I got the league wrong. I didn't realize it was the league that I played in that this was a problem. But Tim put in a bid on Isaac Guerrero.
No, I didn't.
With a $0 bid.
Not in the league you're playing in.
Oh, then how come you didn't? You had all 100 fab bucks in both leagues. And you
because I was 0-13, and there's absolutely no reason I'm making a pickup for no reason in a league where I can't influence anything. You could influence not being. So you had two choices here. Now you can't make moves once the playoff starts and you're out of it, but you have every right to make a move before the playoffs start. You could have got Guerrero. You could have boxed out your arch rival from making the playoffs. I don't care what anybody else does in the league if I'm not doing well. Like I don't cheer for or against anybody.
And you could have potentially prevented yourself from going 0-14.
No, I couldn't have. I couldn't have.
Paul?
Rumor has it that that Tim and Cust had a slushy agreement. Slashed like 100 slushies off of it so he could have Guerrero.
That's what we're getting at here. Geoff, if it was you and you're Cust and you could screw Tim Butts over from making the playoffs in this league, which would have happened if he had just used his money on Guerrero, wouldn't you have done it?
Yeah, I mean, in home leagues, things get personal in home leagues. And
it's fine if you're trying to make the playoffs, or you're trying to, or you have a chance to win a game to prevent yourself from finishing dead last and paying the extra.
Yeah, I'm
money.
not going to shit on you here.
Didn't have he would have made zero difference to my team, and it would have affected league play. So the ethical choice is to not act.
Well, so basically you just threw in the towel with 5 weeks left and decided not to influence the league. You didn't even try.
First, you could also influence things. You're also a commissioner. Secondly,
how would you like me to influence it? I bid every fab buck I had on him and didn't get him.
I made 2 trades before the deadline.
You finished with 0 wins and used 0 of your acquisition dollars.
Nah, there was nobody I wanted that badly, I guess.
It feels like something's
but
fishy.
I also feel like last week...
It feels fishy, Geoff. It feels fishy.
No, it's pure indifference.
Last time when I heard Tim talking about him, he was almost like, I've never even heard of this guy.
I never heard of him.
Yeah, you just admitted
when I start doing poorly in a league,
you put in a bid on him in a different league then.
I put a $0 bid on him.
So you had heard of him if you put in a waiver bid on him.
Only because I was never going to make a bid in the last week in the keeper league when I have no wins and I can't. All I can do is influence things negatively. It would be unethical to make a move.
I don't know. I'm in some Gen Pop league, and I just got the last spot in the playoffs. But some guy who wasn't even in the playoff race got Guerrero, used all his fat, and I was like, that's.
This is exactly what I.
But I don't care enough about fantasy, so whatever.
I would just be trying not to be the only team ever to go 0-14.
Yeah, well then I wouldn't have made those trades at the deadline.
I mean,
I could have done nothing.
You had no wins before that, but you could have tried to.
Yeah, but I really had no chance.
You could have tried to pick up guys who started in the NFL to play on your team.
It's a 14-team keeper league. There's nobody out there.
I mean, everyone else managed to fill out guys that started.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know.
when I'm out of a league, I can check out very quickly.
I don't know, Tim. There's going to be an investigation as launched by the person who ended up missing the playoffs by a point because of this.
You go ahead and investigate.
We need to get Tim Butts to agree to that he paid you off for this.
Go right ahead. You go right ahead.
I don't
if you think that's
Tim
happening, you go
would
right
get-
ahead. I would do that for anything.
That's the thing. Tim wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it.
How do you know?
Like you would all. I mean, listen. I would if I was the person who needed Garendo. I would even be willing to offer Tim, but
And I
Tim
wouldn't accept
doesn't-
it.
doesn't seem like Tim can be bought. Like
No.
I've had mock negotiations with him, pretending we're in a college dorm together. I need him to write me a paper. How much? And the guy doesn't break. So I don't think this would break. I don't think he'd break
No.
for this.
Seems fishy to me. Anyway, I'm going to win anyway, so it doesn't matter. Buffalo at Detroit is in the afternoon slate of games, but is probably the biggest game of the week. Well, one of the two biggest games of the week. Detroit is now a 2-point favorite. It's open at 3. It's down to 2. And everything in my mind, Tim, was leading me towards the Bills here in a rebound spot against the Lions. But I started to think about it. It's just the Lions generally cover at home. I know they didn't last Thursday, but now they have this extended break where they get the extra few days of rest against Buffalo, who's playing a second consecutive home game that, can their defense look as bad 2 straight weeks? Their defenses look bad periodically throughout the season, obviously last week against Baltimore, but they've rebounded quite nicely almost every single time.
If they play zone defense against the Lions, they don't have a hope. They have got to play man-to-man. If they play zone and don't get home on Goff, he will pick them apart mercilessly. It will be child's play. So unless Buffalo intends to switch up how they play defense, which I think they've got to do, I don't see a path for them to cover the number and win the game. I think it's a very tough draw for Buffalo. I just don't see the defense doing enough unless they turn Goff over a bunch, which can happen. But it's a close game in terms of the spread. It's indoors. Detroit has the mini bye. Buffalo has had to travel all the way to LA and back. Now they've got to travel a shorter distance. Detroit's still on the road for a second straight week. I don't know. You almost get the sense that they peaked with that San Francisco game a little bit, and they're sort of coasting a bit right now until they get into games that are a little more relevant. It's an NFC game. It doesn't matter as much, especially given the fact that the Steelers are in tough this week too. I don't know. I don't see it. I think the Lions are the side here. I don't see it for Buffalo here.
Of note for man versus zone with Jared Goff is 3rd in the league against man coverage, and he is 20th against zone.
I believe that.
Well,
I totally believe that to be the case. But I'm just saying this Bills team plays a soft zone. And we saw it last week. They didn't get out of zone defense. And what happened is that the Rams ate them alive.
And it was the other way for Matt Stafford, by the way.
No, it was not. The Bills wouldn't play zone.
No,
That's Paul. Paul will tell you that.
No, all the Bills did was play zone, but Stafford's great against zone and not as good as against man this year, where it's the opposite for Goff. So maybe staying in zone defense is exactly what you'd want to do against Goff.
I just think it's the way the Bills play zone where they leave huge gaps. I just think
All right, well, so you like Detroit.
yes.
Okay. Geoff, who do you like?
It's a real tough one. I tend to side with Tim, but I don't have any sort of conviction. And I'm quite amazed at the grid this week because every good game seems to be at 4:00, or I should say, the games that are relevant to the playoffs are all at 4:00. And I was just amazed that both this game and Philly and Pittsburgh would be at 4:00. But that's a good thing for Tom Brady because that means other people will be watching other games and not listening to how bad he is at his job.
You know what? I actually thought Brady was all right last week.
Oh,
He needed a lozenge, but other than that, he seemed fine. He seemed engaged. It was the first time he seemed engaged in a game all season long.
I never thought it could be possible that there could be anything football related that Tom Brady was this bad at. I'm going to pick Detroit. I don't feel comfortable about it, but my eyeballs watched that game last week. Maybe I'll think different Sunday. I'm upset that this is head to head with the Chargers, but I'm going to pick Detroit.
All right, I'm actually going to go with Buffalo. I'm only rooting for it just to cause chaos in the NFC. If Detroit ends up with 2 losses, then the Vikings could be a 2-loss team. It'll just make the NFC far more fun coming down the stretch. And, I mean, apropos to Tim's point about the Bills don't really need it, they don't because Pittsburgh's schedule the rest of the season is so tough, but falling behind Pittsburgh at this point of the game where all of a sudden you're staring at going to Pittsburgh in the second round rather than hosting Pittsburgh in the second round, if it ends up falling that way, I mean, they'd much rather have that game at home.
So the Chiefs locked it up then, right, last week?
No, they haven't officially locked it up, but it'd be very hard for them not to have the 1 seed right now. They're 2.
They're 1.5 games ahead.
Yeah.
See, what's discouraging about that, selfishly, is they played Denver the last week of the season, and that'd be a big break. I mean, what a break for Denver if the Chiefs have locked the 1 seed while they're playing maybe to clinch a spot or to keep someone off their back or to get in that last game.
I mean, listen, with the way the Chiefs are playing, it feels like they could almost lose to anyone coming down the stretch. So if they lost 2 games coming home, I wouldn't be super stunned. Like, they play the Browns this week. They could lose to the Browns. They probably won't, but could you see Jameis putting up 400 yards in this game? It's like, hey, it's the good Jameis game. Great.
Yeah, no, I don't even, like you said, like, you don't, like, when the Raiders and the Panthers lose at the wire, there are no brownie points for other teams losing at the wire to the Chiefs. It's just like, oh, that's the Chiefs. Like, that's what they are. That's what they do. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not going to lie. I've always been incredibly respectful of them, but I like a lot, maybe like not just as a division rival. Like, part of me wants the AFC playoff picture to work out where under any circumstance, they just have the hardest 2 games possible to get back to the Super Bowl. And if that means, like, clearly that doesn't involve the Chargers, then I got to sit this one out. Because as dumb as I am, I see the Chiefs. I'm like, oh, I'd love to play the Chiefs again. But then I'm like, okay, to play the Chiefs again, it would be in the second round. And then they'd obviously beat the Chargers. And I'm like, oh my God. So the Chiefs would just be, if the Chiefs got the Chargers in the second round, the Chiefs are essentially just 1 game back from going to the Super Bowl. And maybe I need to, like, self-sacrifice myself and be like, no, you're not good enough for that spot. I don't know what to make of the Chiefs. Fucking wild. But Mahomes is so good. And Pat, that thing you said a couple weeks ago about, like, when he runs and when he activates it, he did it again on Sunday. I think he only ran 1 time, and it was like for 17 yards at the clutchest moment on a 3rd down or something.
And this has been true of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Not that Josh Allen doesn't run during the season, but the closer you get to January and then into the playoffs, like, their rushing overs are just free money in the playoffs because Mahomes will take off 5-6 times a game. He just doesn't need to right now. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to get hit. I get it. Anyway, this is the Bills-Detroit game. The coin and I are taking Buffalo. You 2 are taking Detroit. Let's go to Tim's home stadium, Giants Stadium, MetLife. Baltimore at the Giants. The Giants are 15-point underdogs at home right now to the Ravens. Now, Geoff, you seem to be an expert on the Giants after watching them all Sunday long, and I had money on the Giants, so I was actually quite thrilled with the outcome of that game. But they looked really bad, man. They're like truly horrible.
Oh yeah, they are horrific. They should end up with the 1st overall pick. I will take Baltimore here. I mean, they played the Saints, so it's hard to gauge, but I don't think they're playing with, like, the piss and vinegar of a Carolina coming home. So I'm not expecting to get got by like what happened last week with Philadelphia. Even though I'm not really looking to lay 15 points, for the purposes of making a pick, I'm laying 15 points.
Yeah, do you like Baltimore to run train here, Tim?
I do. Oh yeah, for sure. Because I don't think the Giants have shown, like Geoff said, any sort of fight. It's like a 30-3 type game. Alternate spreads might even make sense here.
Yeah,
If you're gonna lay 15, why wouldn't you lay 22?
it does feel that the one. I mean, after watching a lot of the Giants in that game, they took a bunch of deep shots that almost hit, and I do think that's how you get Baltimore. Is just like try to throw over the top of them. And although the blocking wasn't great for the Giants, they were still taking those shots down the field. They just couldn't connect. Connect with one of those, maybe they cover this massive amount of points. But Drew Lock over rushing is probably the play in this game because it just hit. He leads the league in rushing of quarterbacks the past 2 weeks. So why not go with the over? It's like 17.5 every game. Yeah, I'll take Baltimore as well. Why not? Cincinnati and Tennessee. Cincinnati coming off of a lucky cover on Monday Night Football against Dallas are now 5-point favorites on the road against the Titans. Tim, do you remember the last time a punt was blocked, yet the other team recovered it? I just can't, especially at that critical
know
of
if
a
it's
moment.
ever
I think it was a Chargers game. I think a Chargers-Broncos game like 15 years ago. I remember that happening, but I have no other memories.
I don't. I've never seen that in live play. I've seen it happen with field goals, obviously, but not punts. That was wild.
Maybe
I don't know why Barney Gumble felt like he needed to handle that ball.
Well, I can tell you why he thought he needed to handle the ball. That's pretty obvious. He thought he was going
to score.
Yeah, he was going to scoop it up on the fly and return it for a touchdown, and then he gets on SportsCenter.
Yeah, that's he suffered from a case of brain deverocious there. I'll just not to like put on my Cam Stewart hat here, but like 2 straight weeks of these like late Monday night horrific beats with the Browns and those Jameis pick sixes, and then last night. And I just like anybody who the last 2 Mondays was on the Bengals and the Broncos. Congratulations. Like you got my money because I gave it into the system and it's popping out to you. So bravo, folks. Fuck.
How do you think this game ends up going, Tim? Because we just saw against what might be the worst defense in the league in Jacksonville, the Titans couldn't do anything offensively, but like Cincinnati's defense can't be far behind in terms of being the worst. Like it's pretty close. Like, will they be able to move the ball? Because if they can't move the ball, they're going to lose by 50 points.
I just don't trust Tennessee. This should be a great spot for a home dog. I don't trust the Titans enough to take them +5. I don't like it on a short week. I don't like anything about the Bengals in this spot. It's such a classic take the Titans spot, but I just can't bring in myself to do it. So I'll take the Bengals.
I kind of feel the same way, Geoff.
Like, I agree. Because this is, if you can't stomach, it's hard to stomach the Titans. But Tim kind of like was kept alluding to it. Like, if this is a team that you have a monicum of faith in, like you fade the last second lucky Monday night win. You take the points at home and you fade the team that just played on Monday night. And I'm not going to get off that. So I am actually going to take the Titans and the points. Don't know if it's going to be a real... yeah, I do like it, but... yeah, like not a super lock or anything. I'll leave it at that.
I actually think this is the game where Tim was talking about the alt spread with Baltimore. I think this is an alt spread Cincinnati game. Just bet like Cincinnati -25 or the Titans +5 or Titans money line or something like that. If it's close, it feels like the Bengals are going to lose. But if they win, it all like... if Tennessee can't get their offense going, they're going to score 6 points. And the Bengals are going to score 30.
Okay, the Titans are a very easy team to break down because they fucking suck and they do lots of stupid things. But I saw something on the internet.
What?
Could be fake. Yeah. The internet's wild. But the Titans, despite being in their division, like the Titans, have played like a lot of good teams and a lot of good offenses. And they do the dumbest things. So you can't bet. I don't want to make a case for betting them, but I am picking them.
Let's see, yeah, they got smoked by the Bills. They got smoked by the Lions.
Vikings, they just suck.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings game was actually somewhat close. They beat the Texans. They got smoked by the Commanders. Like, that's more the level where I think this game goes. Because it's not like Washington's defense is all that good, and they were able to shut them down. And, like, the Titans' defense rates out really well. Like, I think they're 13th in the league overall in defensive DVOA. But every time they've had to play an elite offense, they get absolutely waxed. And I would consider Cincinnati's offense to be elite.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll go Cincinnati.
And Burrow made some cocky comments about, I guess they asked him about T. Higgins and getting him involved again. He's like, we'll get him back. You'll see. Just watch. And I believe Burrow when he says things like that.
I mean, it took him forever to get his contract. I don't believe that Jamar Chase didn't get the contract, right? He's still just playing.
He didn't get the contract. He is just playing. Maybe they should have. I've also seen some stories that say this is actually, if the Bengals owner isn't the cheapest man on earth, this is actually the spot. Like if Ben Johnson in Detroit is trying to pick his spot, like perfectly, set himself up, other than the fact the owner's really cheap, so he might never want to pay you what you'll being the hot candidate is worth. This would be the place to go if they use this win-loss record as an opportunity to dump Zach Taylor.
I don't think that they will use this. Like, are there enough good coaches out there? Like, if you could get Ben Johnson and just kind of swap like Wunderkind for Wunderkind, and you bring in Ben Johnson, then yeah, maybe you do it. But I mean, it's not like Zach Taylor did bring them to a Super Bowl. And is it really his fault the defense is so bad when their owner is the cheapest man alive?
They start slow every single season. At some point, you got to take some blame. This team loses more games than it should, and partly it's on him.
So I do agree with you, Pat. Like you can't, like when you have Joe Burrow and what presumably will be a long-term for Chase, like you can't just fire your coach and have a traditional search. Like you almost have to know exactly who you're going to be giving Joe Burrow to. Right? Like it's just different. It's different. In some way. He's that good. He's that special of a player and a quarterback. So I feel like it isn't like wouldn't be traditional like say the Jets or the Bears filling their spot.
Hey.
Maybe the Jets won't fill their spot. Maybe they'll roll with what they got.
Yeah, because it's really working out so well.
I think it is. They almost won this week. That's pretty impressive.
They've almost won the last several weeks.
Pretty
the Jets,
they're the best 3-10 team in NFL history.
Oh fuck!
And I say that only slightly tongue in cheek. Like it's true.
Yeah, 9-3 with Jameis, right?
10-3.
Did you win last week with Jameis?
Yes.
Sure about that? Did you watch Jameis?
Yeah.
I honestly think your 9-3 with Jameis is as crazy of a sports take as you've had the whole year.
Okay, well, you're entitled to that opinion. I think you're wrong.
Dallas is at Carolina coming off the short week in heartbreaking fashion. The Panthers are now 2.5-point favorites, up from 1.5 from when this what?
I told you this line was going to keep creeping up and up.
I mean, the Cowboys losing didn't help that. If the Cowboys had won on Monday night, this line would be lower.
I think it would have just stayed at where it was.
Are you sure? If they had beat the Bengals on Monday night, you think this line would not have moved towards Dallas a little bit?
Probably not. I don't know who in the world wants to play Dallas right now. I sure don't. I love the Panthers here. It's close to super lock consideration.
I mean,
people want to talk about how great Cooper Rush has looked, but no, not really. No, he hasn't.
Who is?
Hold
on. Name one person who said that Cooper Rush.
You heard last night that they were running interference for Cooper Rush on the broadcast.
Remember Aikman and Buck?
Like, what I'm here to say is, I think this Dallas team is really bad, and it's emblematic of a Dallas team that isn't very good, that managed to throw away a game against the Bengals, who are the team that loves to throw away every game themselves. Dallas is very disappointing. The Panthers have a lot of verve. I expect Carolina to win this game comfortably. Super lock.
Yeah,
This is why you were begging for Cam to have his rights back?
Well, I just think that it's the perfect spot.
I agree, but now it makes sense.
You're right, though. I hadn't really thought about the Cam part, but like in honor of Cam, I'm going to take the Panthers this week as a super lock. I'm going to make the pick you won't let him make.
Do you want Cam is
I will
so
be his
lovely
proxy.
that Cam will genuinely like appreciate hearing this when
Well,
Pat
it's true.
tells
I
him
will be
tomorrow.
his proxy because this Panthers team should be favored by more than 2.5 at home. They're clearly the better football team. Why are they only laying 2.5 at home?
I'll lay the 2.5. That's about it, though. That's where I draw the line. I could see like Pat just snickering. These idiots. They're all walking in.
this honestly feels like the biggest trap of the year. Because I see what you guys see. Like the Panthers have looked 100 times better than the Cowboys have. It's like, what? I did this last week with Buffalo and the Rams. I was like, this line doesn't make any sense to me. The Bills are way better. Just give me the Bills. And obviously, I was dead wrong about it. The Rams look great. Just the Panthers have looked frisky in all these games. It's not like they're winning any of these games.
Yeah.
Neither is that. No, you're right. They're not. But these are two bad teams. But one team seems to be, sparky and fun and interesting, and the other just throws it up to CD Lamb and hopes that he comes down with
that's
it.
That's a good play.
Don't think that's a recipe.
Listen,
that's the only play. The
moment Cooper Rush started to look like not the worst quarterback of all time was like, we got two plays. We're going to run it with Dowdle, and we're just going to throw it to CD Lamb. And all of a sudden, their offenses just started to move.
As someone who watched every second of that terrible football game last night and stayed up way past his bedtime watching that game, I'm just here to say Cooper Rush disappointed me every time he stepped back to pass, and I can't wait for the Panthers to win this game.
That's being like, I'm shocked Cooper Rush was bad with like saying I'm shocked the McRib was bad. Like, I just don't understand what you're expecting from Cooper Rush. I am not Rob Pizzola. Every bet I make doesn't need to be plus EV, but because I like to bet for fun sometimes, and that's okay too. That being said, the most dangerous thing you want to hear someone say, or you like, I want to bet this team because they've looked fun and frisky. And I think that's like the point that I was alluding to. The point Pat's getting to is, it just seems like people want to bet Carolina because they're fun and frisky. That is not like a good recipe to go double click on the computer for. So we got to find other reasons. But I lean Carolina because they're fun and frisky.
I gave other reasons. Dallas is absolutely horrific, and the Panthers are playing well, and the Panthers have the better quarterback.
Fun and frisky.
DeMarvion Overshone, best name in football, was diagnosed with a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL. He will not be playing this week.
Oh my!
Or maybe he will. Maybe they'll let him be like Casey Martin that time, when they can just let him use a golf cart on the field or something.
That's a guy that was like the star of Thanksgiving that people keep saying is a big up and comer.
It was a good player.
Oh, that sucks. That's probably. Well, that's the whole ACL. When guys tear their ACL, like modern medicine has perfected that so much that you're so confident guys will bounce back. The rehab is so procedural at this point, from the operation to the rehab. It's like it's so procedural in the process, and it's a science. The whole leg, though, fuck, that makes me, I don't know.
Is that what you thought had happened to Justin on Sunday night when you conceded the season?
Okay, people can say I'm wrong, and I have a lot of biases towards Justin, and I'll like glaze him. I have personally noticed over the years that he is incredibly tough. He doesn't sit on the ground. So when he was sitting on the ground with that face, and like, I don't know, like it just looks so awkward. Like, did he tear a quad or a hand? Like, what happened there? And I don't really know. Maybe it's a thigh bruise, or maybe he just got like a knee in the dick. I honestly have no idea. But I was not I mean, you guys seen me watch the games. I'm worth HR. Like, I am about health and safety. So I was just totally I was totally, I thought I was done. I thought I was done. I'm fragile. I'm a delicate flower.
You don't have faith in Taylor Heineke?
It's not even about faith. Like, no, I don't have faith.
Was it because they showed that back shot of him when he was putting on his helmet and he's losing all of his hair? You're like, well, no, thank you to that. You can't have some bald out there running the offense.
You in the fall. It took you who accused me of being such a fair weather fan for not watching Jets games during the middle of the season when they were upsetting me. You were prepared to cut bait on the whole season without knowing anything of what had happened there and then. But you didn't know what had happened. You didn't know what the issue was.
Sorry.
But it didn't matter. You were willing to pull that.
No. Hold on. I don't think that Geoff ever once mentioned not watching Chargers games. He lived through the GIF era and had to watch those games.
Not in person, of course, even though people wanted to go. But just gave up on the whole season right there without knowing what had happened. He was willing to just throw the whole season away and wave the white flag.
Yeah, because if he's not standing up, then
don't come at me for not.
These are not the
games.
same. These are not the same.
You didn't watch the games. You gave up on your team. You didn't want to watch them anymore.
They were upset. I was basically that meme of the old man holding the umbrella over the other person while he's getting in the rain. I'm still, just because you love something doesn't mean that you're very happy with them right now. But at no point did I just say everything is over and done with within a second. And Geoff did that. I just wanted to note that.
But that's like, I'm a delicate flower. And when 10 goes down, I just, it's like, really, I'm not going to get to have fun. I'm not going to get to have fun on Sundays till the fall again. Like, that's where my head is racing. Like, I like this too much. I'm not expecting this thing to last long. It's going to end not fun, but until it does, let me have it. I'm not 3-10. So I want to keep the car on the road. And if Justin was hurt, the car comes off the road. I don't know what the injury was, but I was proud of how they played in the second half. I don't even know how we got on that though.
Jonathan Brooks is out for the year with an ACL injury again. That's brutal news for Carolina. Just for the future prospect. He was the highest drafted running back in the class. He finally makes his return. Plays a few snaps here and there in the 2 games he's back, and then has a non-contact injury and blows out his knee again. It sucks.
It sucks.
Terrible.
Yeah. That's the worst.
So I will take Dallas along with the coin, and you guys will take Carolina in this spot. And you're already locking in Carolina super lock -2.5.
Yeah. The more I think about it, if for nothing else, as a proxy for Cam, I've got to make it a super lock.
Someone has to have Carolina as a gold pick on this network. God damn it! And Tim is saying it's me.
It has to be me because you won't let the person who wants to have the most. So.
You don't even know if he wants them, but you know him.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah. No, this actually sounds like a week where Cam would pivot because too many people are on Carolina now.
You could be right.
You notice he went back to his themes?
He did.
3-0.
3-0. Back to the NFC West theme, 3-0. Rob was right. Yeah. He just needs to get back to his themes.
Good for and he was away last week, right?
He was at Seneca.
At the casino. Oh, okay, yeah.
People were saying he looked 15 years younger with that new lighting that he had.
I've been to Niagara with Cam once, a couple times, and then one time he joined me and a bunch of my real life friends up there, and they've all got great stories from that. But he didn't want to
internet friends.
Yeah, compared to my internet friends.
No, I know what Geoff is saying. Like, do you ever find that weird? It's like Tim, it'd be like if I went out with you and your work friends. Like, I don't know any of them. That
would be strange.
Yeah, but if we just injected Cam on a Sunday into the house with all of our friends around, then it would be odd. Like, no one knows.
I think it would go very well.
I think it would go very well too.
Keep your friends.
They know of Cam. They've seen Cam. They don't know Cam.
Yeah, but here's the thing: because of the show, they actually do know him. You just talk he's so friendly. Like, it would fit like a glove. But but we had a great time. But I just remember he didn't want to stay where we were staying. He wanted to stay at the Scottish Inn, which was just this like rundown motel and like a back alley around the corner. But good times.
Well,
Because
like when
every
people
dollar
die.
spent because every dollar spent on accommodations is the dollar that's not
Yeah.
spent on the blackjack table.
Exactly. That's Cam. Fucking love him so much.
I've always found that interesting because I know a few people like that as well. I mean, it's not Tim because Tim just wouldn't spend money at either one of those things. But someone who would cheap out on like $75 to go from the worst possible hotel room to stay somewhere nice because they needed to gamble the extra $75 when they're gambling like $10,000 over the weekend. It's like, all right, odd priorities there. You might want to go back and after you lose all your money, you might not want to go back to the place that may have bed bugs. You might want to have something, maybe a mini bar, something like that. That'd be nice. It's the best feeling when clothes fit good and look good, and you can comfortably wear them all day long. And that's exactly how I feel about my clothing from Doers. These are the most comfortable pants I've ever owned, but I wear my Doers as often as possible. I got 4 pairs right now. My wife, let me tell you, it's working. It's working for me with Doer, and they have styles that can be worn all year round. Their stretch performance denim and lifestyle apparel is built for doing. You know I love my Doers, and now's the time to get your own because they've got up to 50% off these incredibly comfortable pants, and this is the best time to upgrade your wardrobe before the new year and find some amazing holiday gifts. Don't wait. These items will sell out fast, so go to shopdoer.com/PME to get these great deals before they're gone. That's shopdoer, DUER.com/PME. Shopdoer.com/PME. Introducing the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Picture this. 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime-forcing, playoff on-the-line golf with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, like Tiger and Rory and more, split into 6 teams: Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. To learn more, visit tglgolf.com and tune in to the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf. Pittsburgh at Philly is the next game. It's also a PM game. This is the 1A, 1B game of the week. The Eagles are favored by 5 at home in this spot. Something really seemed off last week, Geoff, with the Eagles. I don't know exactly what it is. A.J. Brown came out after the game and said the passing game is broken. I like the Steelers to cover the 5.
Part of me thinks, like, I feel like it could be time to fade the Steelers a bit.
Yeah, you said that last week, and then we jumped on the Steelers, and it worked.
It did. I've been on the Steelers like so much this year, despite being wrong about them preseason. And then last week, I'm like, you know what? I'm going on a run of fading. So we're gonna stay. Although I do think the spread might be a little high. I'm not afraid of the Steelers.
No, but they'll grind.
Is that
they'll meat grinder you is the problem. Like if the game gets a little bit off of script, they'll win. Like I don't like in the playoffs. I absolutely do not believe in them. That was one thing that I made mention to Jake when I identified like the 8 teams that I think that can win the Super Bowl. I do think that they're one of those teams, but of all the teams in the AFC that you might run up against him, I think they're the weakest. They might beat you, but I think that they're probably the easiest out too.
I don't know that I agree with that entirely. I think I would rather face Denver or Houston than Pittsburgh.
Okay, I'm not talking about like the illegitimate
Of course.
teams. I'm talking about Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. Like those 3 teams
who I
are
go up against.
What?
Yeah, okay.
I agree with Jake though. Because I feel like you guys talk about it a lot, and he's like, no, if they play again when they play again, like I'd still want to back the Ravens. Right? Doesn't he keep saying that every week?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I'm on that side. but the Steelers perpetually, I guess, disrespected. And I'll give them credit beyond the obvious credits that they deserve for this incredible season, is that the offense has a gear that I don't think any of us actually thought that they had. They've gotten to point totals that I didn't think was in them this year.
Sure, they probably don't have Pickens for this game again with the hamstring injury. And their offense did look pretty stunted without them despite winning the game.
Throwing to Mike Williams, who only knows 2 routes, is not a recipe for long-term success. He doesn't even run those correctly.
Do you think that'll make the Aaron Rodgers documentary?
So
No,
how could a guy
won't.
who can only run 2 routes have ever been listed in your T10 NFL receivers? Like, doesn't when
Yes, I
you
was wrong.
like, yeah,
Yes, I was wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong.
because
Wrong all
most
the time.
people like, is Mike Williams underperforming some people's expectations? Like, sure, maybe, but I don't know. Most people thought he's kind of what he is. He should be
Washed?
contributing more, though.
He looks washed.
Yeah, I guess as I was talking about AFC recoveries being pretty simple and
You
Like
sold
moder-
me a bill of goods is what happened, and I bought it, hook, line, and sinker.
I sold it to you. All I pretty much told you is that he's a good jump ball, high point receiver, and that's literally anyone who's watched him over their career. It's
You
not
got
like that
me
was a
very
secret.
excited that he's exactly the type of receiver that Aaron would love, and that he would make a lot of clutch catches. And you got me very
He
excited.
did make a lot of high point.
And you're not the
clutch
only person.
catches.
You're not the only person this year who got me very excited about my team.
But
And I don't blame
okay,
you,
yes,
but you're
I
one
did.
of them.
I did get you excited about the Jets. But don't worry, Tim. They've lost you $0 this year. They will have cost me a few. I mean, include it. Like, I'm including the future, but the amount that I've lost on them in games. So no team has probably lost me more money.
Yeah, we'll get back on them this week because they're going to play well.
How was did you have dinner at your dad's on Sunday?
No, I didn't. But don't worry, I got text messages.
Did you get, and it's wintertime, so the snowman's out, right?
It is out, but he didn't send me a photo of that.
Is that why you didn't have dinner with him?
He's here on Sundays.
Oh
No,
yeah, that's right.
no.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Pat on Sundays.
No, yeah, great show.
It seems like you remembered it pretty well.
I'm trying to remember if the Chargers were playing Sunday night, so it was more of a tight one. I don't know. I watched it. Tim looked good. He wears his vest, his Patagonia. Looks sharp up there.
Almost
Thank you.
almost fell asleep on the desk.
Well, yeah, I mean that's. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. So I have. I know everyone likes to whatever this whole Rumble thing. Ha ha ha. The truth of the matter is, I really don't watch Rumble at all.
Except for
Don't
this
even have a
video.
Rumble.
Let me tell you about it.
Well, yes, but this video, I think fair and balanced, objective people be like, okay, you're allowed to watch that.
You're
To
allowed
show
to.
that
You know what, Jeff? You're allowed to watch whatever you want to watch. We're just allowed to give you a hard time about it.
Okay, fine. That's true. But so Surviving Barstool, right?
Oh,
Really fun-
I've heard it's great.
Yeah, so they do a great job, and then on Rumble there is a uncensored version. So I've just preferred to watch it on Rumble. They get was it Gilly or Wally smoking his weed, and I guess there's more cursing. So I've enjoyed on Rumble. The thing with Rumble though, Pat, the commercials on Rumble, it's like for the end of the world. Everything is these really creepy, hyper, no surprise, alt-right, alt-right commercials. They sell the MRE survival food buckets. Those are the commercials when the show stops and they have to run an ad, or all these fitness things, but not fitness, alt-right fitness.
What's
not actual fitness.
I want to hear what alt-right fitness is. Please tell me about this.
No, I don't know. It's a commercial. It's a blur, but
I don't know.
just
Who's stepping to the oldies?
I don't know. It just the commercials on Rumble are very creepy. Even I can admit that.
No group of people is going to be more prepared for the next pandemic that they won't believe in.
Correct, but no one is more prepared.
Did you have these like jotted down? These are fire, Tim.
No one is more prepared to survive the next pandemic, a real one, or a zombie apocalypse.
A real one, huh? A real one, huh? Unlike the previous one, Jeff? Is that what you're saying? A real one?
I mean, I didn't mean it like that, but I won't fight you on wanting to frame it that way. Sure. But yeah, okay. And
well, why don't you just go down to your favorite barbecue joint? You guys can agree on everything.
Oh,
that place is not in business anymore.
I miss that place. That guy got caught. He couldn't just abide by the rules and keep smoking his barbecue by the rules. He had to feverishly break the rules, flaunt breaking the rules. It's sad because, lost my favorite barbecue joint over the pandemic. Maybe that's where my resentment is from, Tim. Lost my sauce.
I want to
from that and from other instances.
I want to know what the fitness thing is. Like, where do these are they selling like Bowflexes? What is this?
No, I don't know. It's
like
more
Pelotons that will work during the end of the world.
I guess it's more like how on Twitter you'll get a tweet, but it's like an ad, and it's like trying to sell you on some fitness program or something. I don't know. And then when it's it's the safest water bottle in the world.
How safe is it?
And it just pumps your water with I don't know, full of good molecules.
It filters out all the fluoride.
I'm just saying the commercials are very persuasive? Random and weird. No, not persuasive. They're creepy.
Jeff, do you have a bomb shelter en route to your house? Or do you need a variance on the bridle path in order to be allowed to build a bomb shelter?
We need a variance, but don't worry, we've got generators.
That's good.
I'm not one of these doomsday people. I don't care. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
You embrace the apocalypse, is what you're saying.
Oh, I don't want it to happen, but I don't I'm not one of these people that
You're not putting in any effort. You're not putting in any effort to survive it. If it's happening, it's happening.
Yeah, and then if shit's gonna get uncomfortable, I'll just take myself out of the game. I don't need to get. I just mean it. It's in. Yeah, listen. I have it in my will. If I hope my wife has the courage to pull the plug, but if I can't wipe my ass, it's time to go. Just get me out of here.
I have the same provision in my will as well. What's your will looking like these days, Tim?
Non-existent.
Oh,
but I've told my friends, Pat, you better enforce this because my wife might not have the guts to do it.
Yeah, my wife told me that if I don't do it, she's gonna fucking haunt me, and I don't want that. Her words.
Yeah, so I need good friends that'll pull the plug.
There was a whole Seinfeld episode on this exact conceit where Kramer brought Elaine in to talk to Ben Stein.
Are you taking Pittsburgh or Philly, Tim?
I mean, I almost don't want to stop this discussion of the commercials Geoff watches on Rumble.
Okay, I'll jot them down tonight.
Maybe
I'll record.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah, you jot down the next 10 you see. Jared did tell me he opened up Rumble because I don't think he knew what Rumble was before we started talking about it on the show. And the first thing he saw was an ad for a tea, Geoff, made with liberal tears.
Yeah, it's that sort of. It's yeah, I'm sure you're buying Trump fragrance. It's the commercials are just wild on that thing. But just to show you the people who are buying them or what they might go for.
I mean,
but that's all. I know.
A reminder to people to not only sub and like this channel on YouTube, sub to our Rumble channel as well, where you get no beeps from Geoff during the entire show. That's our promise to you.
Listen,
it gets blue.
It's been a long time since I've been on there, and I was on there, and I was enjoying the content for which I was on there for, but the commercials were noticeable. Hopefully, there are other surviving Barstool Rumble watchers who will like maybe leave it in the comments and like know what I'm talking about.
All right. Pittsburgh or Philly, Tim?
Philadelphia.
All right. You guys are aligned this week.
That's not good. I want to make games on Tim.
Well, if Tennessee covers, then you will. Kansas City and Cleveland. Kansas City is a 4-point favorite on the road in this game. Well, it doesn't seem like enough points. It seems like a lot of points, Tim. I don't know where I fall on this. Like, the Browns might just be absolutely terrible. Like, this could just be Jameis throwing it to the Chiefs 5 times.
Yeah, it's week to week, isn't it? I don't know what else to say. I will take the Chiefs here, I guess, with no confidence at all. This should be a low-scoring game, so you think maybe you take the points, but I don't know, like 20-13 Chiefs, I guess.
2018. Give me the Browns. This is just going to be exactly, don't even need to like break it down. It's going to be exactly as you imagine it will be. Again, Chiefs win 2018.
And it is worth noting that Dustin Hopkins misses basically every field goal from inside 40 yards. So if they have a chance to win at the wire, it's going to be missed. I like Cleveland as well to keep this close. Who do they have left? I guess they have they go Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens to end the year. That's a wow. Their end of the year, they haven't played an easy game. Since week 5, I think. The Browns schedules since they started Cowboys, Jags, Giants, Raiders, and started 1-3. Since then, they've played Washington, Philly, Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Chargers, the Saints, which should have been an easy one. They lost that game by a bunch. Steelers, Broncos, Steelers, Chiefs. I think they ended up playing the toughest schedule.
Yeah, I would be hard pressed to find a team that played a harder schedule. Maybe like if you're in the NFC North and you had some crazy crossovers, but
yeah, the NFC North crossed over with the same division. They crossed over with the AFC South, which is, pretty good.
This is going to be the same game. Like, it doesn't matter even like the whole collection of dregs of the league will plays the same game against the Chiefs, and this will be the exact same.
Yeah, they'll be up.
Maybe Winston throws a pick 6 and we don't cover, but if he doesn't throw a pick 6, they absolutely cover.
I'm with you. +4 for me and you, -4 for the coin and Tim. Miami is at Houston. Houston is a 3-point favorite in this spot, coming off a bye week. Tim, is there any chance the Texans fix their offensive line problems?
No, that's not the sort of thing you can fix in a bye week.
Is it a problem against the Dolphins?
I mean, not really. They didn't get a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers on Sunday.
You want to talk about no pressure, friend? I saw a stat.
David Bowie.
You did not. And I think Tua had over 40 dropbacks. 41 is the number I remember. You did not have a single QB pressure in 41 pass attempts. That is fucking impossible. That is impossible. So when we're talking no pressure, it's the Jets.
Sure. I don't want to fight you on that, but we weren't talking about the Jets yet. I like the Texans to lose this game. I like the Dolphins plus the 3. I like to tease the Dolphins up, please, to 9.
So you're on.
Admit, I want to see the.
You're on Miami every week until they play the Jets now.
I mean,
so let's run through Miami's schedule.
Go ahead. In an ideal world, they win them all until they get to the Jets.
Miami's at the Texans, home Niners, at the Browns, then Jets in Week 18.
So
those are 3 very winnable games.
There are also 3 very losable games for the Dolphins too.
Sorry, it's next. So it's the Texans, then at the 49ers or home?
Home at Texans, home 49ers, at Cleveland. And you know that Cleveland game on December 29th is going to be cold.
Yes. So they finish with at Cleveland, at the Jets, and they play. Now they're playing a team off a bye, and next week they play a team with extra rest because the 49ers are playing Thursday. Oh boy. I mean, Dolphin fans could yell at Park Avenue here. They'd have to win 3 of 4, win them
They
out,
have to win them all.
and they don't have tiebreakers. I don't know. This is a tough one because you like the things. You kind of feel like Mike McDaniel is working again. Like he's successfully in season, like changing the offense, and now it's working. So credit there.
How do you feel about this bet? Colts 11-1 to win the South.
What is
Indy's
the
schedule?
record? 8-5. It's 8-5 and 6 and 7.
So here's Houston's remaining schedule. And Cust has already assured us they will lose to the Dolphins. But it's the Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, Titans. They just lost to the Titans. That one's in Tennessee in Week 18. But, I mean, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens could be 3 losses in a row for them. So
How did they do against the Colts, though?
They swept them, so the Colts need to finish ahead of them.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't think it's a long.
But if Indianapolis can win this week in Denver, they go Titans, Giants, Jags to end the year.
Yeah, so we can just presume the Colts are going to win out if they beat Denver.
Yeah, so give them 4 more wins than what they have right now, and even if Houston wins another one, I believe that puts them ahead, doesn't it?
You need to get Houston to 8 losses.
Yeah, that would. So if Houston goes 1-3 over their final 4 games, and Indianapolis wins out, Indy wins the division.
Yeah, but you could. Fair enough. That's right.
This is big screen at 1 o'clock.
Or the Texans could lose out and Indy goes 3-1 and they still win the division.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 11-1. Like there's very few, like it's just with the way that, I mean, not that Indy looks great, but their schedule, if they can beat Denver, is pretty easy, where the Texans is pretty difficult, and they've looked bad anyway. I don't know. It feels like it's worth it. I'm going to take a flyer on the Colts 11-1, Geoff. Write that down. Indy 11-1. It's just funny because I don't like them this week to beat Denver, but
no, I don't either.
I'm wrong all the time, so I might as well go with the 11-1.
Yeah, and we'll see. Selfishly, I feel like my rooting interest in that game actually needs to be Denver.
Yeah,
like
well, I mean,
safe.
Yeah, for safety purposes, if they can just knock. Yeah. You're rooting for Houston and Denver this week, I would guess.
Yes, I'm actually like no actual lean. I am gonna take Houston, Miami, even though their defense didn't have to play a snap in overtime. They played their 5 quarters. They played their 5-quarter game. I'll take Houston off a bye versus the team with 5 quarters.
I'm going to take Miami. I don't trust Houston to win by any sort of margin. To ask them to win by more than a field goal seems like a big stretch right now.
This is one of the most... this is probably the big screen 1 o'clock game, unless I'm missing something.
No. Baltimore and the Giants.
Oh, haha.
Oh, that's not
right. Like this is the only game at 1 o'clock that even holds like a playoff implication.
New Orleans.
Yeah, untrue. New Orleans is currently 110-1 to win the South.
But Washington is like still competing for.
Okay, sorry. With 2 teams, like where both teams have like a semblance of a playoff implication. It's the only game.
But that doesn't even really bother me all that much if the matchup was still pretty good. Like I'm somewhat intrigued by Chiefs and Browns.
Yeah, no, I agree, but okay, you don't think this is going on your big screen?
I want to watch the Jets.
We know you want to watch the Jets. I'm trying to think what will go on the big screen here. I mean, Cowboys-Panthers seems to be the hot game of the week.
That's so good. That's so going to be on the bottom.
Because you know what's going to happen.
That game is going every week at the 1 p.m. slate of games. There's something we always refer to as the sadness game. Last week it was Giants and Saints, although I was invested in it, so I was watching it. Although we didn't have Titans-Jags on a TV. It could have been that game. But
oh my God.
The Panthers-Cowboys, Tim, reeks of sadness game, unless it's the Jets and Jags.
It could be.
Can I tell you? Like my buddies where I go, we have a 7 TV setup. So when there's the 8 games, whatever, bring up a laptop. But the TV in which Jags and Titans was on, like was flickering and then just turned to black in the first quarter. And us group of slobs, everyone was too lazy to be the person to get up and fix it until halftime. But we also joked that I don't think we missed anything. So who cares? You're just staring at the black screen.
You watch the one thing that you missed was in the play just before half, the Titans went for a Hail Mary and the Jags blitzed them and dropped Levis on his already injured shoulder. And they were like, Levis is fine, throw him back out there for the second half. And he couldn't throw. So that's what you missed.
Yeah. Well, magic. So this, I don't know. I see this as the big screen game. Very intriguing though, because I don't know if it's possible, but like football fan is like just very curious. Like football fan in me is just very curious to see if the bye, I don't want to say fix the Titans, but Texans, but make them look like, I don't know, a good team again. Not like the upper echelon of the AFC, like I thought they could be, but like a good team again, because Miami doesn't beat good teams. So if Houston is good, then they should win. But at this point, I don't know. We got questions if Houston is actually good.
I would say that the fast track should benefit Miami, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I could also see this game getting big screen love, Pat, when like 6-year buddies, 5-year buddies walk in with bets with the Panthers on their parlays or on bets on the Panthers because they're fun and frisky. And I'm not like, I could see them being a very popular bet. Like the whole room's got the Panthers, so let's put it on the TV, I guess.
There you go. Well, we have an alternate main TV. We have the big TV, then we have the slightly smaller TV, and then the 6 that surround it. So maybe it'll go on there if people really need to see it. But Houston for the coin and Geoff, Miami for Tim and I. Jets at Jags. I kind of agree with you, Tim. Although it's up to 3.5 now for the Jets on the road against the Jags. I feel like such a sucker, but I do love the Jets in this spot. Like it's not even that I like the Jets. The Jags are so bad.
Yeah, I mean, they won last week, but the Titans didn't show up either. That was a sadness game, too. The Jets have looked good the last 3 or 4 weeks. Even though they found ways to lose all these games, like they've been in them all and been playing well in them all. So, yeah, Jets.
All right.
Could be my super lock.
See, this is bad. We should just take the Jags then. If we're all this confident in the Jets, who never fucking win a game, and now they need to win by more than 3.5, we should just take the Jags. Because the Jets will find some wonky way to lose it.
And the Jets have responsibly lost me a couple shirts this year. Like we'll just leave it at that.
Your poor freezer must be so empty.
Hey, that polled well. By the people.
Yeah, Tim went. No, not only that. Tim went. Look, he's like, because he said that he mentioned that to me on Sunday. He's like, people agree with me about putting your shirt in the freezer when it's hot. I was like, oh, do they? He's like, yeah, this one guy did. He searched for like an hour to find this comment that apparently existed, but he couldn't find it. So 0 people agreed with him.
It must have been deleted.
By who?
Well, the person who wrote it, naturally.
I can't believe you can't even find what account your own burners post from.
Forgot the passwords to all of them. I did. While we were talking, I made that bet at CoolBet. So use CoolBet code DOP or code Dogger Pass.
Colts,
shout out to our friends at Dogger Pass. 11-1 Colts to win the division. 100 pays $1,100. Let's go. And it's a round of Jets for everyone. So Jags.
I know the Jets have been bad as favorites this year, but come on, they're gonna win.
Did we just change our pick, Geoff?
It's not like Jeff's putting more real money on Gangrene.
I'm not. I'm sticking with the Jets. Like I said, they might be my super lock. So, yeah, bet the Jags.
1 week from the recording today, that Aaron Rodgers documentary drops. What should we do surrounding this, Geoff? What do you think the right move is? Should we all get on the line and watch it together? How long is it? How many parts is it? Because I feel like this is something we should really lean into.
Yeah, I mean, some people think it could be Tim's breaking point.
No.
Ayahuasca watch along.
Ayahuasca watch. You know what? We'll start a GoFundMe for Cust, and then we'll send him on an ayahuasca vacation.
I don't know where to get ayahuasca is the problem, but I could ask some people.
You ask around. You go through your channel, see if you can find some. We'll all get fucked up.
I've never seen it on any of my menus.
This sounds terrible. I don't want anything to do with this. Well, I want to watch this documentary in peace and solemnity and anger.
No, we're watching it together for the first time. You can come over. I'll set it up and I'll get you some popcorn. I'll even order you in a DC from the movie theater.
By the way, I went to the movies 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks
Gladiator?
ago. No, I still want to see Gladiator 2, but I still haven't seen it. Anyway, did the popcorn trick. Somebody standing at the counter was legit, like, gobsmacked.
Should be. Should always be. Whenever I pull it off, someone just stands next to me and they're like, never would have thought of that. So
it's the exact reaction I get when I
I've-
tell people I've pulled a t-shirt out of the freezer on a hot day. People are just like, wow, that you're a genius.
mind blown. So I guess that's our Christmas gift to people. We bring it up once a year on the show. If people are new and they have not heard it, the move is you bring your bag of popcorn over to where you do the manual butter on it. You put a straw into the bag of popcorn and you put it all the way down to the bottom, all the way in, and then pour the butter through the straw to get to one level. You up it a little bit, pour it through. And you might even want to move it around in the bag as well, from like the left side to the right side to make sure that the butter gets into every single section of your butter. You just throw away that straw, boom, you have butter all the way through your bag. You will need to use some napkins if you put it on your lap because the butter will seep through those bags.
Yes, they will. I was about you took the words out of my mouth.
I actually heard that Tim doesn't throw away the straw. He uses it for his Coke.
Oh, do you, Tim?
That would be no.
You don't have some some buttery DC?
That sounds terrible.
I mean, it's in the realm, it's in the range of outcomes for something you'd be like, I'm shocked everyone doesn't do it.
I would never defile a Diet Coke like that.
Washington and New Orleans to wrap up the early slate. The Commanders are 7-point favorites on the road. I think your boy Hainzer's playing quarterback for the Saints, Geoff.
Hainzer's been living in like, I don't know, Philip. I don't know where he went.
He was in Vietnam for a while.
Yeah, he lives like a king for like $5 a day.
I'm shocked Cam hasn't done this yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Cam dreams of like going to the Golden Horseshoe, which is a region in Ontario kind of near Niagara. But yeah, maybe it should be one of those fun little Asian spots. What game? Saints, Washington. Give me Washington. There's no quarterback.
Yeah, do we know who's actually starting for them at quarterback? Like, is Spencer Rattler back? I don't know if that would make a difference.
Signed Ben DiNucci
I don't think
today.
it'll make a difference.
That's right, they did. Tim, they signed Ben DiNucci.
Great. Teasing the Commanders down.
Yeah, it's probably the move.
And then next week in my fantasy semifinals, which I'm already in,
You're playing Ben DiNucci.
we're going to have the Packers D at home in December against a quarterbackless Saints team. So I'm excited.
That sounds
to
pretty
win.
good. Does this feel like too much of a layup? Like we all just instinctively said Washington. It is in New Orleans.
Yeah. They got no quarterback. They got no ability to score. They nearly lost to the Giants. Get out of here.
They lost. They should have lost. That game was stupid.
Their poor punter has stage fright from being screamed at.
That was awesome. It was my favorite part of Sunday. He was so mad. And then then after it was done, he just kept following him down the sidelines to scream at him some more. He needed to know,
like
Tim.
Sideshow Bob kept
It must suck when like you're actually on special
He's
teams and the special teams coordinator becomes the head coach because he actually feels like he can yell at you, but he's not yelling at no defensive player like that.
No, he was yelling at little white 47 on the sidelines. The guy didn't even look like he should be in the NFL. Just getting it.
Yeah, Washington. I'd lay it. I'd probably lay more points. So that tells you I'll be wrong, but I'm going to take them here off the bye.
All right. That brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
If I could be king for a day,
Like King Ralph?
I would require that Yes, well, he was king for life. He
Like
was
Trump.
actually-
Trump says he only wants to do it for a day.
If I could be king for a day, I would require all companies make the exact same type of charger for every single device.
Yeah.
Because it is so aggravating that people are using the quote unquote USB-C for certain things and the lightning jack for other things and regular USBs for things, or like iPads connect to some other thing. And like, if you're looking for a charger in a pinch, you just have to hope that as matches yours. And I don't understand why it has to be that way.
It's Apple's fault.
Why can't it just all chargers for all devices be identical? There's no it's all about a power source charging a battery. Why aren't they all identical?
Would you like
Yeah,
me
it's
to
Apple's fault.
I was gonna say, would you like me to tell you actually why that's the case, or would you like me to just kind of go along with you here?
Because it's a needless aggravation, and people would be fired up if they were all the same.
I'm sure they would,
I-
but now people have to buy all of these other applications,
But
making
they
them more
don't buy
money.
them.
That they do.
But they don't buy them. They just
we don't buy
struggle
'em.
without it.
It's not even actually my policy because I don't care that much. But due to my wife, we're like outside of a tablet for the girls, and like we're pretty Apple free house. Shocking enough, fuck them.
We're the
Fuck
opposite.
them. They wouldn't even unlock a terrorist phone. So fuck them.
Well, isn't that the sort of personal protection that you would want if it was you?
Buddy, I don't give a shit. They could hack. If the government wants to see what I'm doing, they could see the shitty bets I'm making. Like you could see like the charger shop purchases I've made.
Have you?
could
Oh,
see
okay. Question.
The porn categories.
have
I've
you
gone
have you
into.
ever
Like, the
watched
only
Chargers theme porn?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I don't even get it. What does that mean? That doesn't
Bolt
do it
up.
for me.
I don't know. And as we found out during the Thanksgiving show, that in every hotel room there is a cuck chair. Now, wouldn't you be interested in some sort of cuck porn where there's a Brandon Staley lookalike who has to sit in that cuck chair? And like Harbaugh's nailing his wife in front of him or something? There's your Chargers porn. Yeah, there you go.
No, that's not that you wouldn't find that in my search history.
Oh.
That being said, I know people are like grossly offended by what I'm about to say, like the people that believe like all the privacy and information. Like I don't give a shit. Catch bad guys. Like the only people who should be worried about like authorities seeing in their phones would be people committing crimes. And or up to nefarious things. I'm not up to anything nefarious, so I wouldn't give a shit. If you were Jack, you could see my YouTube history. I did it a few weeks ago. I could read you everything I've been watching. I don't care. Like I that stuff doesn't feel. I get like some people are like that is their biggest fear of God is like government invasion or into their privacy. I honestly don't care. Law and order.
Wait, which one is it?
No, I mean like in order to maintain law and order, I don't care if there's high level of surveillance. I'm not out here committing any crimes. I don't care what you'd see on my phone.
Tim,
I'm not.
I feel like you'd come out as pro-terrorist in this situation, protecting people's freedoms and information.
Well, I just think there is something to be said about if you enter
The big
What
government's
did he say?
contract with a company.
What did he say? Start over. You cut out.
I said, seems to me if you as a citizen enter into a contract with a company with an expectation of privacy, that privacy should be maintained, except in very exigent circumstances, like if a warrant is produced.
But sometimes the Tim Cook likes to protect bad guys, known bad guys.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I guess, how do you make your bones as a company that will protect your privacy, or like a journalist who's willing to go to prison to protect his or her sources if you're not willing to, on these extreme cases, stick up for what you believe in?
Okay, listen, and you just brought something up that I totally agree with, so I can talk out of both sides of my mouth because I'm not afraid about my personal privacy being infringed upon. I have nothing to be afraid of, but I guess if you are a reporter and you are going after the government fairly and, then like you don't want them being able to see into your phone and into your sources. But I'm just talking about when someone is like, like kind of on video being a terrorist. Like you can get Apple should let you get into their fucking phone. Like should let the FBI get in their phone. That's sort of like the hill I will die on. Not like all about personal privacy being infringed upon. Even though I don't care about mine, but there is a level that these companies should bend the knee for.
That's what warrants are for.
Well, Geoff,
That's what the criminal justice system is for.
did you know that there's a new trend going around on TikTok where if you sit on the toilet and turn on the bidet and have a beat, apparently it stimulates your prostate?
I did not know about that. That's not where I thought this was going. Okay.
And our friend has the top comment on the TikTok video.
That is awesome.
Tim, have you tried it yet? I guess you don't have a bidet.
My TikTok algorithms are very, very different.
Well, what's on? I mean, it seems to change up every 2 weeks. What's on your TikTok algorithm this week?
Recently, it's been a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff, and it has to be because that Wicked movie came out that they're like pumping.
And you've been stopping to watch it.
Well, yeah, because they'll like show clips from the movie and like.
Have you watched the interviews with those girls?
I have not, but I mean, I've seen the original movie several times. It's a classic, so like I'll watch those clips. So there's been a lot of those. And there's been a lot of seasonal themed recipes that I'm getting. Those are the two things that I'm getting right now.
What are some hot recipes?
Oh, it's sort of like a lot of them are like cheesecake oriented, like Oreo bites or dips that are like, old school cheese balls sort of things.
Now, do you think this is letting you know that this is something that you could potentially make to bring to a potluck?
Maybe. But I don't want to.
Tim, you realize like that next potluck, the bar is so fucking low for you that like you underdeliver and overperform, you'll have the room eating out of your hands. Because like expectations are not low for what you'll walk in with.
Well, that would be me conceding ground on something I don't agree with, which is that I'm somehow not bringing good stuff to potluck. So no.
It's sort of like what I feel people around me thought I would be as like a dad, where it's like their expectations were so low that when like I do the most basic thing, like being the father to my children,
or seeing
like,
or seeing a Dave Portnoy lookalike.
Yes. And listen, it was
you abandoned your child.
Abandoned my boy.
The little rocking chair, he was right back in it. He couldn't. It was a chia pet. Like literally, it was a loaf of bread. Like it was at the stage. I am not taking away from my mistake. I'm just saying at that age, it's of the age where the child to me, like I'll tell my friends they have a baby, like that, it's like a loaf of bread that cries and shits. It can't.
How would your wife react if she heard that you were comparing your child to a chia pet?
I've done it. It's a loaf of bread. Like there's a point where it's a loaf of bread that cries and shits. It can't it can't run away.
Yeah, as someone who's been through that twice, he's not wrong on that front.
Yeah, that's all. It's like a loaf. It's literally a loaf of bread with arms and legs and cries.
And sometimes it's swaddled, so it actually looks like a loaf of bread.
Yes, exactly. But on the we're here just sort of firing.
We're here talking about the bidet beats. Will you do it?
I mean, I'd be open
to
trying it, I guess. I haven't seen this TikTok that's going viral in your group chat, but I'm unfamiliar.
Usually Cust gets in on the conversation. He really abstained from talking about this when there was other people who were real fired up for it. He didn't want to talk about the cuck chair either. And then, because I was away for a friend's birthday this weekend, Geoff, and there were 2 cuck chairs in my hotel room. And then our friend in Mexico sent us a picture of his cuck chair. And then our other friend thought maybe there should be a coffee table book of the best cuck chairs in the world.
Oh, that is so good. Oh my god!
Like that would sell. I feel like that'd be like a novelty book.
Who would it sell to? Who
there
would
like
it sell to?
Is there the GoFundMe you could crowdsource something like that? Like we can.
Like our
Who
friend,
would buy this?
Our friend has that book that Maddox released of the kid's shitty drawings and him making fun of it. It'd be in the same oeuvre of that, like most famous cuck chairs in the world. And apparently, cuck chair has its own Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, no, you know what? Tim's like, who would buy that? I think I could see a time in like a future where I have like a more distinguished personal space in my house. I would happily have that as my coffee table book because it's so fucking funny. Like,
See, so 2-1 voted you out here, Tim, of people that would buy the cuck chair coffee table book.
and like think of, like I mentioned the Scottish Inn as a homage earlier to where Cam likes to stay in Niagara, but I can only picture like the cuck chair scenes at the Scottish Inn.
Oh yeah, it's a real. It probably started with motels. Feels like a real motel feature. Oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to bring up on this, Tim. You know how people rent out their cars, like Airbnb their cars.
I only learned that because that's what Jared has been doing. I didn't know that was a thing until that.
Do you think that people, because hotel rooms are so expensive, would Airbnb
Oh, no.
Airbnb a car to have sex in the back of it?
Oh God! If that were the case, that would be a reason that it's just not worth doing.
I'm naive enough
It's
to
not
think
worth
they-
renting out cars for that.
They
Then
need
if
to
that's
run
what-
an errand.
one should hope, because if that's what it's being used for, I don't want anybody turning tricks in my car.
Paul,
You have a
yes.
spacious back seat.
I drive a Camry. It's a very large backseat.
You drive a Corolla. We've been.
I do
through
not
this.
drive a.
Jokes on
Yeah,
them.
drive
Dead man
Corolla.
hat.
Yeah,
In the back of
the
Tim's car.
Yeah, the back of Tim's car is
I don't know
haunted.
what they'll get from that.
You put the ghost in the fucking cuck chair in the car and you'll be good to go.
Speaking of cars, if there was ever a time for a dude to, crush a drive-through and eat in his car, it would have been that buddy at McDonald's, eh, Tim?
I saw that great tweet that somebody sent out. Was it Pat that sent? It was that person who was like, "There's no better feeling in the world than going through a drive-through by yourself, getting only food for yourself, and eating it in the car and going home."
Yeah,
And I was
without
like-
even telling your family. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that doesn't
no one
hit
needs
you
to
like
know.
it did
No one
us.
needs to
We
know.
have-
Yeah, see,
No, 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 no.
you spun
You
that
have
in a different
family.
way. Yeah, that
Yeah.
the entire point of that was that guy wanted to get away from his family, and that's the only place that he could get away from was sitting in a parking lot eating McDonald's. You don't have that. You're just doing it for fun.
But there's also other
everybody
layers
has
to that.
Everyone
There's-
has every. The point is that it's a moment of solitude. It doesn't matter what you're taking a break from. It's that you're taking a break, and there's something like very meditative about like the warmth of the air from the heater in the car and the cool air coming in from the window slightly cracked.
Well,
while
hold
you're
on. You
enjoying
you turn on your heat on high and then crack the window, and you're the
not
guy
on high, but it's on
But
in
so-
the winter. The heater is on and the window is rolled down
Why is the window rolled down if the heat is on? Why
because
don't
I
you
don't
turn
want
heat
the
off?
odors of the food to
He doesn't
stick
want
in
the
the car.
McDonald's fry.
Exactly. I want the odors to have a place to
He wants
escape,
it
but
to
also
waft out. He wants it to
Yes,
waft out, not
that's
get
the-
stuck in like
yes.
because we've all been there in a younger life.
You're
Because I'm a responsible
you're the
adult
same.
now.
You're the same guy that said that you get into the shower early on this, so you don't waste any water. And what you're doing is rolling down your window in the winter and turning the heat on in your car.
Yeah, for a
Pat,
practical reason.
Tim doesn't want to hotbox his car with
That's
McDonald's.
it. I don't want to hotbox it with a quarter pounder. You're exactly right.
But also, I felt like that tweet, Pat, had other meaning because I read into it like, if we're talking about the same tweet, he also acknowledged like I won't even tell my family I'm here or offer them anything. Like they don't even know that I've done this. It's almost like I know what my wife is serving us for dinner, and I'm just gonna smash this before I get home because this is what I want, and I'm not even gonna tell her I'm doing it.
He treats eating the fast food in the car like I do smoking around my wife now.
The
Yeah,
important
pretty
thing is that it's a moment of solitude, and it doesn't matter what you're escaping from. It's that you're having that great escape moment, and it's a really enjoyable.
No, it does
experience.
matter. Context is king. Like,
'cause
what are you?
You
can
can
go home.
Yeah, you can
Scott.
go home and
Why
have a
you-
moment of solitude.
Why
Not
you
the same.
doing
It's
in
not
a
the same.
parking lot? No, yes, it's worse. Is what it is. It's in a parking lot as opposed to your home. You could sit on your couch in your like main like living room area in solitude. Some of us need to do that in a parking lot. You don't understand the difference here?
Oh, I do understand the difference. You're right that people are coming at it from very different life experiences. But for that one moment, you're all living the exact same experience, which is that you're just sort of apart from the world for a moment, just enjoying in the solitude of the evening a delicious double cheese and a DC, and no one's bothering you, and there's all is right with the world for those few moments.
Serious question, Tim, because like you have a high ethical code, a moral standard, but you are also like deathly afraid of making
Spiders.
phone calls. So would you rat out, like if you recognize someone who had committed a crime
It's not
that was all over
ratting
the
someone
news?
out to
Sorry,
inform
no, you're right.
the
No, I didn't
officials.
mean it like that. You're right. I take
Like,
that part back. I
No,
don't.
of course, if I thought this was somebody who was at wanted as a,
You
one
would
of
have the
America's
courage to
most
do
wanted,
that as opposed to like ordering food. Like you would get the
I would
courage to
have-
make the call.
how could I live with myself if I knew that somebody was a murderer at
But
large?
you didn't
who
fully
didn't say
know.
anything?
You're still just guessing. You're like,
If I
think
had
that looks like the
strong
guy.
belief, if I had reasonable assumption that it was the case, how could I answer to the Almighty not saying
But
something?
what if moments before that person was in line behind you and
Talk-
was like,
talking
"Do you
about-
believe the McDouble
isn't on the value menu. And you'd be like, yeah, I know.
And
I
then
mean,
you
While we may
recognize
have,
them.
while he and I might have chatted about that, I mean, I would still have an obligation to as any citizen of a
Okay,
of a
let's change
civilized
it.
society would.
Let's say he convinced you during this conversation that he was a higher up at McDonald's, and then if you didn't rat him out, he would get it on the value menu for you.
It's not. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care if he was going to bring back trans fats constantly and give me my sweet tea whenever I want it in Canada. It wouldn't matter.
What
There's no
if
price.
he was going to allow new McDonald's to be decorated like when we were children and not these soulless hellscapes they're decorated like today?
It would make it that much harder, but yet that much more necessary for me to say, as Lincoln said, put your feet in the right place and stand firm.
Well, I gotta say, this has been a very interesting Cust Corner with cell phone chargers, Tim's TikTok, bidets, cuck chairs, hotels, solitude, the right of privacy, chia pets, and murder.
I didn't even get into my whole thing that there should be a warehouse for people who live in small spaces to buy stuff in bulk from Costco and store it there and have easy access. But we'll talk about that at another day.
No, go on about that. I want to hear about this.
When I go to Costco, there's all kinds of stuff I want to buy in bulk, but I also don't really have the space to put it. So I almost wish like they had layaway or something where I could store purchased items and then just swing by and pick them up and as I need them. Because I want to buy in bulk because it's cheaper, but I don't want to like stack my whole room with like toilet paper. So like I would wish I could like go pick up 5 or 6 rolls at a time.
This is so sad.
There should be a
Don't
there should
you
be
have
like a warehouse.
Don't you
or
have a
storage
storage?
facility.
Don't you have a storage space with your unit?
Yeah, but that's jammed with all my various holiday decorations. I don't have any space for this kind of stuff. If I want to buy a lot of stuff in bulk, I can't. And so I wish there were like a way that I could buy it
How
in
many
bulk and then hand it to
things-
somebody.
Like, okay.
How
I
many-
get it. You're upset. Like you can't buy the large tub of like margarine.
No, I can't. So like if there were a refrigerated space where I could go in almost like a safe deposit box at a bank and like fill up my tub of margarine that I take with
Into
me
like a
and then go home with
smaller-
it. Exactly, and then go home with it. That would be super convenient. I wish that were something that could be done. I would totally avail myself of that.
How much would you pay for that service?
I should be included in the cost. So like, charge me 5%
So-
more or whatever.
To charge you how
I
much?
don't even.
5% more. They're already making enough off me.
You did this once before with like a grocery store, and it feels like you just need to live in like a single male like communion, where like
No,
yeah, it seems like where everything is like communal, and because
he
you-
would
you
hate
spoke
that.
about like
There's nothing he hates more than like a tapas meal.
I
Yeah, I
just
don't
don't
want stuff
understand
like
because
that.
you're like, I can't buy. Like when you did
Like
the
if I
spiel
want to
at the
buy 100 pogos, for example, it's something I would like to purchase.
100 what?
100 pogos, like like corn dogs, like they sell them at
Oh
Costco.
my God.
But I can't purchase that box, and I refuse to pay 3 times for it at the grocery store what I would pay at Costco. So, like, I wish I could buy the box.
Have you done the
and then
price per unit? Like,
I've looked at it and just say, okay, well, box
so
what
like how
cost me
much
this?
is the Costco, like the pack of 8 at the grocery store?
I already
you
paid
forbid to buy.
for a Costco membership. So the fact that I have the membership means I should be taking advantage of the deals that are obvious, and there should be a way for people like me to be able to
Al
buy.
Borland doesn't get like maximum value.
No,
out
I
of
don't.
Costco.
If I want to buy a big box of Klondike bars, I can't because there isn't facilities for me to store them all. Or if I want to buy a bunch of pogos, or if I want to buy, 3 flats of paper towel because I never want to run out. Like I have no space
Do you
for
have
any
an
of this
extra
stuff.
room in your condo or anything?
Yeah, but I'm not going to clutter that up like a prepper with various things that I purchased from the wholesale.
Well, it sounds like you would be a prepper if you just simply had more space.
But what there should be is dedicated space for me to deposit the various things I purchased in bulk.
Buy a
and then
storage
be able to
unit.
draw
So then
on
what?
it.
Rent
Hold
a
on a
storage
second.
unit.
Then what? But then there's a cost benefit. Like, fuck, I could have just bought that thing of pogos at the grocery store, but now I got to drive 12 minutes to pick up 4 pogos from my Costco storage unit and
So it
fill up
wouldn't
my.
be 4. I obviously wouldn't go for 4 of them. I'd go to pick up 12. And while I'm there, I'd pick up 3 or 4 or 5 other things.
I think you're complaining over
Yeah,
like
what goes on?
6 quarters.
What goes on in your spare bedroom? What's in there?
It's where I have my workstation.
There's no room in there to put like an extra thing of paper towel?
Of course, there's room for that, but I don't want to clutter up my space with storage. Like it's not a back room at a storage warehouse.
I mean, my entire
Me and
basement's
you,
basically
like-
a storage unit. I have 3 fridges and 2 freezers.
We have
And
a- Pat,
that's you have a lot more space than I do. You don't
He
live
also
constantly
has
downstairs.
a house. He also lives with. There's 4 humans that live under his roof. So you like the concept of the things you need at Costco.
Yeah,
make more
God
sense.
forbid. No,
So
you're right,
Tim
Jeff.
is
I should
jealous.
just never have advantage. I
No.
should never be able to take advantage of anything.
I didn't
wholesale.
say that.
I should
I am
have to live a
saying-
life of less because I don't own a house.
No,
and sorry.
Paul,
I'm not- it's not what I'm saying.
Paul,
I'm
you're
just
a
saying-
single man who has a Costco membership.
Yeah.
And a house.
I mean,
No,
I
I
don't
get
have
what Tim's
expired
saying, but it's
birthday
also
cake in my
ridiculous.
freezer, so I am able to fill things that I actually want and use.
But there are
Like it sounds like you're just
7
bad at,
things that I
making
want to buy in the
space.
freezer section.
Okay,
There's no space.
in defense of Tim,
There's no space.
I understand what Tim is saying in the sense that there's times I've been in Costco, and even though I live with other people and we can it makes sense to buy our paper towel, like things at Costco, we go through it. There are times where I want something and I know my wife won't like that or my kids won't like it. I'm just like, that's just too many units or too many. I can't possibly take that for myself. So I get there's a concept of you go to Costco, usually need teammates to be involved in anything you're purchasing, from ketchup to toilet paper.
I don't understand why in your office you can't put a deep freeze in there, like a smaller one, and then you can just have extra stuff in there, and that would solve all your problems.
No, I'm not going to do that.
But
I'm not
Tim,
gonna-
it's not like it's taking up a bunch of room.
Yeah.
It's fairly sleek. It's fairly clean. You wouldn't even notice it. In fact, you
No,
could
I don't
turn on
wanna do that.
you could turn on the baseboard heaters in your office and then open it up for some cold air too, just to be extra wasteful.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be able to go somewhere and to be able to a bank or a storage facility.
A
where I can
bank
pick
for
the things that I-
pogos,
amongst other things.
pogos and toilet paper.
Or
And-
rice puddings. I love those Cozy Shack rice puddings that you can get at the Costco, but I can't
but-
purchase them en masse.
You don't need
I have nowhere to
34
place it.
units.
I'd like to have them because they're delicious. They're great to put in a lunch as a
You
healthy
are-
little
you know
snack to
what?
go with.
This is
There's
just
all
like
kinds
your-
of reasons to have them.
He's essentially your complaint
if
is
you
why
cared about
I
this,
want to.
if you cared about this at all, you could do this in your storage unit in your building and just move the seasonal decorations into a storage unit. That would make more sense.
It would, but
Just-
I feels like he's like, it's not fair. I don't get to experience the same deals as someone with 7 kids gets to.
Well, you know
Like,
what,
I'm
Tim?
someone-
Take a good look in the mirror and become a fucking Duggar. Then you can do whatever you want.
as someone with a penchant for getting deals and being able to take advantage of my membership, I just feel like I can't maximize it in the way I'd like to.
So eat more hot dogs and chocolate chunk cookies.
Where
I
do
can't
you
eat
wait,
chocolate
hold on.
chunk
Where,
cookies.
where do you think you take advantage of deals where you have memberships? What good deals would you say you get?
At Costco, I do buy a decent.
It doesn't sound like you do. It sounds like you feel like you're being ripped
Not as
off
much
by
as I'd like
Costco.
to. Not as much as I'd like to, but I still buy a decent amount of stuff there.
Where do you
So,
put it?
I mean,
that's-
you are complaining about space, as it's been pointed out. Well, you have like 6-month, $8 half-eaten cake from the grocery store in your freezer. Like,
Not
If you
only,
get rid of
not
the- get
only
rid of-
that,
but you
not
get rid of the
only
cake, it doesn't
that,
solve the problem.
not only
no, but
that,
you can't.
he was
get an
talking
extra,
about.
like Pat said, you get the extra. I mean, we got an extra fridge. It's, I don't know, it's a lifesaver.
Yeah, we have an extra deep freeze at the office just for this purpose. So it doesn't take up all of your freezer space.
Whatever, you take the.
Why
the
don't
cake
you
out of my
rent-
fridge,
why don't
there's
you
not
rent
enough,
a
still not
little-
enough space?
Why don't you rent a little space out in Pat's office house and you can store your Costco supplies there and pick it up?
No, I don't want to do that.
Why not?
You could pay a storage fee just like you would for this commercial service of storing your Costco.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
How come?
What's the difference?
It's exactly
That's
what you
then
just
I gotta,
wanted.
Then I got to transport it all the way over there, and like it should just be like once I purchase.
Where
it,
do
they
you
look
think?
after
How
it.
close do you think this warehouse would be to your
Oh,
house?
it should be a part of the Costco. Like as soon as I purchase it, I should be hands off, and it should just be taken away from me and put into the facility. And I just give a little slip with like the inventory of what's in there, and then like I just call up when I need what I need, and I stroll in and get it, and I leave. It's a big building.
This is a real main character idea.
So you
I
want to
think-
call up and be like, scoop me out from the tub of butter, scoop me out 2 pounds, grab 8 pogos, 4 ice cream bars.
I
8 roast
I need
puddings.
3 scoops of ice cream because that's what I feel like having this evening. So please put that in a Ziploc bag for me.
And those
nuts.
croissants I bought 10 days ago, I hope they're still fresh.
Well,
There are
no,
24
obviously you're
in
not
there.
going to be purchasing baked goods because those expire. I don't know who buys that stuff at Costco. I don't know who buys all the bread at
People
Costco.
with big fit. What do you mean?
Like
Yeah.
the bagels. Like who is
We
buying?
do. We buy them for our house. There's 4 of us. And then we
You
have
couldn't
like
get through the bagels before they were
listen,
you have to buy 2 packs.
We have people.
You
coming,
would be
we have
amazed
people
how
coming over every
quickly-
weekend. We have the in-laws come over. People come over all the time. Like yeah, people stay the
Tim,
night.
I actually disagree. Those like croissant like things are the cookie. Like I don't know. The gets eaten, man. Gets eaten between the kids and their friends and people. And you think those bagels, like 2 rounds of bagels with a family of 4, that's done. It's over. Not a, you know.
I don't think that he does. He was talking to us earlier about storing cherry blossoms in his freezer. Then he's complaining about no freezer space. Were you there? Were you there when he bought the cherry blossom in Montreal?
I thought that we have guests visiting Canada. They should experience what is Canada's essentially official chocolate bar.
I would not in
No.
a million. I don't even know what that is. I've born and raised.
Yeah,
here.
the only other person who knew about it besides me was Jared, who learned about it on that trip.
Like you'd
Byron
honestly
had one,
be
and
better
Kenny
off.
had one. I
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
it to everybody.
you made them eat it, and they were all fucking disgusted by it.
I would say it's more of like you want to say welcome to Canada. It's like ketchup chips and a coffee crisp. If you want to like, right? Not a whatever you bought them.
He bought them something
Bought
like
them a cherry blossom.
he bought them something like my grandma loves cherry blossoms. She is 80 years old. That
She is a person of taste.
she is an old person, and that seems to be the entire demographic outside of you for these fucking shit candy.
Tim, fair and balanced, objective. This is a really shit idea.
This idea is very bad. Very bad idea.
Like it's so unpractical.
Yeah, it's a main character idea. That if the,
It's
if
literally
the laws
like-
of economics didn't apply, Tim could have what he wanted.
Like, do you remember when Apu and Marge went to Costco?
Yes.
Right? Like it's
Just get a storage unit. And then maybe someday you could become famous because you can put a picture of yourself in there along with all the stuff that you forget about and don't pay. That maybe your doppelganger, Renee, will show up to bid on that storage locker and win it on Storage Wars.
I mean, I still don't understand how you don't have room for paper towels and rice pudding, because that seems like what you said you want.
I don't have the space.
But you already said you do have the space.
Then I can't buy anything. I have the space just for that. Like,
What else are you buying?
the normal daily things that a person needs in their fridge.
Just move your cuck chair and you'll have plenty of room.
No. People are going to be empathetic to what I've got to say.
I'm sure they will be.
Put the extra rolls
Like,
of
you
toilet
don't even
paper
have to
under
walk
your
out-
bed.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Paul.
Nobody has to see
That's
it.
hoarding. That's hoarding behavior.
Well, it sounds like you're hoarding anyway.
Are you kidding me? You want a fucking storage unit for your Costco items, and you think like putting supplies under the space under your bed is hoarding behavior?
Like we have a big house, yet we still have units underneath of our bed for storage that we store things under our bed with.
I don't like to store anything under my bed.
Why? Are you afraid of bed
'Cause
bugs or monsters are going to get it?
I don't know that I could sleep comfortably knowing that there was a bunch of stuff jammed underneath my bed.
There's toilet paper under my bed. There's
That would
rice
bother me.
pudding
That would bother
under
me.
my bed.
Why would that bother you?
It just would. I know. My bedroom is
come
for
out and get
having a
you?
bedroom. It's not for storage of various things like that.
Okay, but what about? I'll tell you this. I feel like any normal human could enter into your place of living right now and find you solutions, and you would just like balk at them,
Maybe.
right?
Maybe.
Because you're afraid of under the bed.
I just do things the way that I do things. that
But
make
what
me
could hurt you is if you
nothing. But I
keep-
just don't like I don't want to use parts of my house like it's a bureau or like it's a storage facility. That's not what it's for.
What do you think that people do inside their homes?
Yeah,
Live in them?
honestly, you would be amazed.
Well, you're complaining.
Two
You're
dogs,
complaining that
like-
you don't have stuff. We've given you reasonable solutions that normal people use to store these things. You're like, no one would ever do that.
Well,
Like,
I don't
we
want
got-
to do that.
We got stuff everywhere. Everywhere. You try to keep it organized, but I don't know, Tim. This is off. I think you're gonna be shocked at the how the people take this one. Like, just keep the nightlight on. The paper towel can't bite you. That was a good one.
That was good.
Sorry, Tim.
Okay.
Late set of games. We got New England at Arizona. Arizona's a 4.5 point favorite at home. They have yet to. They've won. Actually, that's not true. They've won one game, Geoff, since Cust jumped on their bandwagon, and that was against the Jets. Kyler Murray has not looked like the MVP Cust promised.
That is incredible. He's done this to Arizona, I feel like, a couple times over the years. Like, when things are going right for them, he will bury them. There's been a lot of movement in this game in favor of the Patriots. I feel like when you on Sunday night, you might have even set a 6 for this game.
Tee them up.
Pardon?
Tease the Patriots up. They're going to win this game.
Oh, so now you're off of Arizona.
In this game,
Okay, so Arizona for me.
tease up those Patriots. They're very, very, very live in this game.
Both off a bye.
No, Arizona lost to Seattle last week.
Oh, yes, that's right. I lost money on that game too. The whole board. I'm just taking Arizona. There's been such a fluctuation in this game. To me, the Patriots are still potentially like a really bad team who can lose this game by 2 scores. So I'll lay the 4.5. Feels like that number's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same number that the Rams were in New England a few weeks ago. So it's a lot less realistically now that they're going across country to play on the road against Arizona. I get they've lost 3 in a row, but I don't think there's that much difference between those two teams. Now, granted, the Patriots should have covered that number, but they didn't.
Just like I don't like who would you? I don't even remember if you did like extensive rankings this week, but who would you say is like Arizona's peer
The Rams.
in the league?
The Rams.
Okay, yeah. So then, yeah, you just made the point. I'm taking Arizona.
I'll take Arizona as well. Tim is the only one on the Patriots, plus 4.5 here. Tampa Bay at the Chargers, Geoff. Can you, if I can promise you win the rest of your games, can you lose this one for me?
Yes, if you can promise me that I would win out, I'll lose this one for you and your great Bucks futures. Shout out to that. I don't know. I feel like Tampa's perpetually disrespected, but I do feel like they're in the tier that I think the Chargers can beat. They can beat at home. Outside of the loss against the Steelers, where Herbert really hurt his ankle, then they had to play the Chiefs the next week. After losses, the Chargers have looked great this year. And I credit that to the coach. But let's get Ladd McConkey and Denzel Perryman back in the lineup. And I honestly think Sunday night would have been different. I saw Winfield is out for Tampa, so some of their secondary stuff continues. Do the Chargers have receivers that can beat a bad secondary? Probably not. The Atlanta game showed that. But I don't think Tampa's... the Chargers are going to hang, and the Chargers are going to win. But no result here would really shock me. Give me the Chargers. They have to play on Thursday next week. That would be my concern.
Yeah. That was a good Cam impression. I am going to take Tampa here. I think this is a 50-50 game anyway, Tim, so I'll just take the 3 points.
Sure. I'm teasing the Buccaneers up. Jake go through all those key numbers. And it's going to be very close. I just don't see the Chargers being able to score enough points to blow out Tampa. I think it'll be a close game. And like you said, I'll take the points with Tampa because of that. And I would play the under, too. That's too many points, 46.5 for these two teams.
And we will continue, as we do every week, to
you say that
roll over Herbert no pick.
Yeah, Herbert no pick is looking pretty good. What does he have, 1 for the season so far?
Yeah, week 2, it was like a tip ball versus the Panthers. But you want to know something, friends? You want to know something? Full disclosure, I would trade no pick for like a handful more picks and more extensive playmakers to make those picks too.
All right, that's been the best play on Underdog all season long. It's always in the Run the Sims generator. So this week, you use code Mayo, you get your free pick, and then you pair that free pick with Justin Herbert, no interception. All of a sudden, you're looking good. You win 3 times your money right off the hop that way. And we'll try to find some. The Drew Lock, higher rushing yards. Now we're up to 6-1. We've almost built an auto winner for Sunday already. So tune in to the Sunday or the Saturday show that I do with just me, updating you on everything and giving the underdog picks. Both of those are likely to be on the finalized pick. But if you want to get in on Thursday Night Football and all of the PGA Best Ball drafts, which I promise we will have content coming out soon for that, I got Michael Kim next week, Geoff. He's joining me again.
Oh, beautiful. Love that.
If people have questions for Michael Kim, leave them in the comment section. Maybe I can ask him some of your questions if I don't have enough questions to ask him anyway.
Yeah, I could probably think of a couple. The thing I want to say about this game, it feels like it's now a bit of a step up in class, despite what you think about the Chargers for Tampa.
I mean, they went through a run of they played the Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, and Niners, and they lost all 4 of those games.
They beat Philly. They battled Philly. They beat Detroit. Like, they have quality wins. So this is not about that. They beat Detroit. They battled some really good teams.
They beat
on the
Philly
schedule.
too, by the way. They beat Washington,
sorry.
Detroit, and Philly.
I didn't. You're right. I said I should have trusted my mouth at first, but it didn't sound right. So there's that. I'm just saying their last 3 games, Giants, Panthers, Raiders, they are going to play a team just on like a coaching front that is going to just be more prepared for a battle here. But it could be a fun game. I'd like to hopefully see the Chargers be able to move the ball a little. I'd like to be able to see the second half offense show up against Tampa. Do you know if Bucky Irving's playing, Pat? Because I noticed he left the game. I don't even know if he returned. But him and Winfield were noted for me.
He did not leave the game, and we won't know anything about their practice report until Garendo did not practice on Tuesday, which is today. But that doesn't mean he's not going to play on Thursday night. Wednesday would be the key practice for the Thursday night football game. If you don't see Bucky Irvin practice on Friday, then he's probably not going to play. But Tim might be right about taking the under, because the last time I would say that the Bucks played a team like this is when they played Denver, and they got absolutely curb stomped by Denver. It was 26-7. That's like the only real lopsided loss that Tampa Bay has all season long. But in terms of points and the under, they scored 28 against the Raiders, 26 against the Panthers, 30 against the Giants, 20 against the Niners, 24 against the Chiefs, 26 against the Falcons, 31 against the Ravens, 51 against the Saints, 30 against the Falcons, and then 16 and 7, 16 or in 20 the back-to-back-to-back weeks. But they generally put up a ton of points.
Well, the amount of turnovers in that game last week with the Bucks was wild. Every time I turned my head to that TV, someone had the ball on the carpet. I think it'll be a fine line, because I think it's actually possible for Baker to play great, as the numbers show. When they win, they usually win by margin. They explode. I feel like we joked a few weeks ago, maybe the best bets of the year are Bucks alt lines, because they don't win, they don't lily dip and win. They just stomp you. That being said, I'm confident there'll be big opportunities for Jesse Minter to confuse the shit out of Baker, or for Baker to make insanely awesome plays. I think the game will.
How confident are you in Herbert's health? Is he just going to play? Obviously, he's going to play through.
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. That's a fair point. I'm still just hoping it was a dick punch, because he didn't even go in the tent.
That doesn't mean anything. I watched Aaron Rodgers go into the tent earlier this year, then come straight back out onto the field.
No, but if he's hurt, there's something to examine and look at. Or maybe I don't know. We'll find out. They're pretty mum about it. It didn't seem serious, but I'm hoping. Yeah, I don't know, bruise, dick punch, something. But yeah, I'm not. Let's put it this way. I do believe he's a bit banged up, so I'm not dismissing that. So I guess we will have to find out.
Tim,
Three just seems attainable. The Chargers, when they've played this team this year, I believe have been quite successful. I'm nervous as fuck, though.
Do you think that you'll get? The reason that the Chargers beat the Falcons 2 weeks ago is because Kirk Cousins gave them the game. Do you think that Baker's going to give them the game?
No, I don't. But I also, in a micro sense, they didn't deserve to win that game at all. And you watched it. Kurt did give them the game. In the macro sense, it was through a tough stretch in a horrible spot game, and their defense won it, and their defense played it great again last week. And I fully expect them, for all the great plays Baker will make, I expect him not a Winston level, but I saw what he did against the Raiders. We will, I think, be able to get the ball.
Okay.
And against these sorts of teams and quality of opponent, the Chargers have been able to take the balls away. So I'm anticipating that continuing. But listen, if the Bucks go win this thing 27-17, I am not shocked. The Chargers just finished a tough 4-game stretch, but you know what? I'm now going to turn that into a 6-game stretch. I begged them to go 2-2 through that 4-game stretch, and they did. And now I just need to go 1-1 through Tampa and Denver, and I can think I can make the playoffs. And I don't think the Chargers can do anything in the playoffs, but I desperately want them to make the playoffs. I would be so happy if they could.
And
until they do, I believe they won't.
Will Disley done multiple weeks as well. So Stone Smart going to see a lot of run in this game.
Yeah, Brandon Staley's boy. That's what Disley, McConkey, Dobbins, pretty much the guys. When the Chargers were playing really well against bad teams, that was the centerpiece of their offense, right? McConkey, Disley, and Dobbins, and all those guys might not play this week.
I mean, hold on, Tim. I disagree with Geoff, and he doesn't think. Listen, it's not likely the Chargers go on a run in a playoff, but I think if they make the playoffs, they're not a dead fish. Do you?
No, they can win a game.
You're not, Tim.
One game.
They're not dead unless they're playing a team like Baltimore or Detroit or somebody who can score a ton of points. If they're playing a team that will, like Pittsburgh or the Chiefs, that are not afraid to grapple or have to play their games often like that, they're very live. But there are certain teams like Buffalo and Baltimore, Detroit, or Philadelphia. I just don't think they can. They can't score enough points.
But
You cannot win the Super Bowl not being able to like hit a point total at least one time when it's counted on when you have to beat 3 MVP candidates in a row.
I feel like the Chiefs did it last year.
But they're okay, fine. The Chiefs did it is not like a standard that we can put to other teams.
Sure, but I mean, it might just take a special teams fluke play here or there in order to do it. Like I don't see that much separating. Like, I mean, I've kind of made the comp to Pittsburgh and Denver all year long, but I think the Chargers are very much on that level of, yeah, they can kind of win any game if they muck it up enough. Maybe they won't get there all the way, but when we were talking earlier about if the Jets had made the playoffs and they had gotten the 7 seed, the Cust didn't even want them to have the 7 seed because they would just be out of the playoffs. And I kind of agree that they don't really bring anything to the table. It feels like they would be one and done. Maybe they get a win. There's no way they would win 4 in a row. I do think that there is a world where the Chargers could be like, oh shit, we're in the playoffs. It got really cold. Now every game is 20-17. They could win all those.
I don't know that they can win all of them, but they could pull something off. And you're not wrong, Pat. Like when the recipe is they stay in the fight and they don't turn the ball, like just going on the Herbert interception numbers, if they stay in the fight and they're not turning the ball over, they can very much be in like a sloppy game against the Chiefs or a Pittsburgh. And maybe they can win that game. I just don't see how they could beat like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and then Hurts, the Lions. Like it's just they're not there. But I think you're also right that they're kind of like Pittsburgh and even Denver. Like these are, you could get in the mud versus those teams. They can win a game, sure. And maybe all those teams can battle and play the Chiefs to the wire. But I don't know. They're not in that class. I say it a lot, but I truly, truly mean it. I watch this team and I get excited. Like I'm very happy with what's happened this year. I think if they make the playoffs, it will be a successful season. And I get very excited to think what they could look like as they build it out. So that's that. But I'm also really annoyed that every game I want to watch this week is at the same time as this game.
Any final thoughts about the Chargers or Buccaneers, Tim?
Not really. I think it'll be a close game. I think the Buccaneers will cover. I think they got a puncher's chance to win.
I'm with you. Indy and Denver. Denver is favored by 4 at home with both teams coming off a bye week. Maybe there's a scenario where Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor can just run it enough to keep this game close, but I just think that Denver outmatches them in almost every way, Tim, here. I like Denver -4.
I do too. I would love to take the Colts in this game. I really would. Coming off a bye in a desperate game, but I just can't. I can't see myself to picking them. I've seen them play too poorly in too many big games this year. I'm going to take Denver with no particular confidence.
I just feel like Denver is that team this year. Maybe it was Minnesota for a while too, Geoff, that they've just been underrated. People didn't realize how it was Washington for a while, then Washington got really overrated in terms of the spread. And it just hasn't caught up to Denver yet. Like they're a good team. They're not a great team. They're a very good team. And Indy's not. Indy can be like once every 4 weeks.
Okay, so I agree with most of what you said there, especially in the evaluations of the teams. That being said, like,
Fuck
can
Denver.
you really? No. I just don't think you can blame some people for the sleepwalking that you're talking about, because some of the box scores were so ugly that I guess it made it took longer for people to accept they're good, right? Because there was just the floor.
You're right.
At some of the early season performances, the floor was so low that it just made it harder to accept what was happening later. But they're playing great. They are having honestly, I think when the year ends and I rank the teams, they will be almost as high as any non-deep playoff run team that isn't the Commanders.
Well, I don't.
Just what a
I don't know about that because like they have a top 5 defense, they have a top 5 special teams, they have a middling offense, and as it pertains to Bo Nix is pretty good. But how much better does Bo Nix get than how he's playing right now? Like how much better can this offense really get? I guess maybe if they had like an impact running game to go along with this, that could alleviate some of their problems because they can't run the ball at all. But Bo Nix is doing exactly what he's being asked to do. I don't even think getting like a whole bunch of playmakers really helps him all that much.
No, he's being perfectly scripted. He's like Timothy Chalamet going on a football show and just reading off a script and pretending to be, very knowledgeable.
shut up.
You really like Chalamet. You really hate Chalamet, huh?
I got nothing against Chalamet. Geoff just went berserk. I saw on the Circle Back podcast.
Pizzola, listen. He's incredible at his job. I think he is also objectively very handsome, and are you
having bidet beats to Chalamet?
I mean, the part that Geoff seems to forget is that what's his job? He's an actor.
Yeah, no, I said that on the show. He did a great job, and I'm just saying, if you watch that show compared to what other people do, he did great. But my bigger beef with it was like Rob sometimes has such a pickle up his arse about anything like betting or making a pick that he actually had a problem with the most like popcorn segment on sports television, which is the celebrity segment of college game day. And credit where it's due.
I mean, Chalamet seems like a real New York sports fan, at least. I don't know what.
He is. Yeah, he's an avid New York sports fan. You're right, Pat. Like he loves ball. He knows ball.
Did you see the tweet that Landry Fields put out of it?
No.
Landry Fields at like some point like 8 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that was like, hey, first fan to find me at MSG is going to get tickets to the Knicks game. And it was like young Chalamet who had met him.
Incredible. Yeah, no, I feel like we always, not always, but like they always spotlight him at Knicks and Rangers games. And he's an avid sports fan.
I mean,
so like,
he's in that famous Jet segment on SNL.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. That's a good one. Yeah, and I got worked up. The parlay of I actually like him, and like, whoa, Rob's got to like let the air out of the tires on this one. Like I was just like, no. We're gonna keep the air in those tires, Rob. I am sorry. I forget which game. Oh, I'm the only one to not make a pick here.
Correct.
Sorry, I got you all worked up about Chalamet.
I'm going to pick Denver, and it's not just because I think I'm cheering for them, as I think we briefly spoke about earlier. From the Chargers POV, it is in the Chargers' best interest to let Denver win this game. And even if the Chargers lose on Sunday, their placing with Denver would just come down to next week anyway. And the Chargers would control their own destiny there because they won the first one.
Sunday Night Football is Green Bay at Seattle. We have Adam Pranica on the Sunday Night Live show this week, who's been on for a few of the bracket shows that Tim and I have done together. Big fan of his podcast. But, Tim, did you know that he is a Packers fan who is from Seattle?
I did not know that.
So it works out perfectly for this game for him coming on. He has some thoughts about Aaron Rodgers himself.
I bet he does as a Packers fan.
I think he likes him, though.
No, I don't think he does.
Oh.
Most Packers fans do not like Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, but hear me out. I could see like why, and there was the moment that they don't, but because it seems like they came out ahead, they made the right decision. It's like a soft landing. Like I could be wrong, but I think the friend who's joining Sunday night also like very much can't wait for the day when in a year or two Rodgers retires and gets to be embraced by Packer fans in Lambeau Field. Like I simultaneously
Aaron Rodgers is gonna like
also want that.
Aaron Rodgers will like sign with the Raiders next year, play 3 games, get hurt, and then when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he'll like have a Raiders hat on or something. Like that's something Aaron Rodgers would do.
Oh. You know, the most damning thing about the guy, and there's a lot, but it seems like every single one of his ex-girlfriends like consider him a torture chamber. And that's not a good thing. Like that can't be good. Like that, I don't know. Isn't that like a fair if like every single one of someone's ex-girlfriends like calls him like for lack of a better word.
It's what we've warned Tim about this entire year. He's in a bad relationship.
Yeah, like all of his ex-girlfriends consider him like a narcissistic asshole who like a controlling narcissistic asshole. Like that seems to be the vibe from every ex-girlfriend when they're asked about him.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to track. Anyway, in this game, it's Green Bay and Seattle. Seattle is a 3-point dog at home. I'm guessing since you've abandoned the Cardinals, Tim. Now you're on the Seahawks, that you love the Seahawks.
I don't love the Seahawks, but I like getting points in a game where I don't think there's a big gap between the talent level between these two teams. And because of that, even though Green Bay's coming off of the mini bye, I am going to take Seattle, who is the hottest team in football right now other than Kansas City.
What about Detroit, who's won 11 straight games?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. So I guess Detroit as well.
And,
but Seattle's been playing great football. They've won several games in a row. And they've won games against non-cupcakes, too. Like they've won real games in that stretch.
I mean, they beat the fucking Jets and the Cardinals.
The Jets, 49ers, Cardinals twice.
You've told us that the 49ers suck. You've said that
Yeah,
all
they're
year.
important games.
We know that the Jets suck and they beat
great.
the Cardinals twice.
Well, the Jets are actually pretty good. They just don't win their games.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
I see how it is.
I look at this game and I think outside of quarterback, and even there it's closer than maybe people think, and that's more of a criticism of Love than it is a support of Geno. I just think these teams match up very well. I think Seattle does similar things with their receivers that Detroit does. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, and I think it'll be a last possession game, and I'll take 3 points.
I like Green Bay in this spot for no more particular reasons that I think Seattle's good but not great, and I'm not convinced yet on Green Bay whether they're great or just good, but I'm leaning more towards that they're on the tier up from Seattle in this spot, Geoff, where I just think that overall they're more talented, and that will come through in this game. And as we found out earlier this week, that the Packers, Vikings, and Lions are undefeated outside of the division since the middle of October.
I lean with you, Pat. I do like the Packers here. And as like a football fanboy, I think the funnest thing that could happen is Seattle losing, the 49ers and Cardinals winning this week, and really the only intriguing, hopefully, playoff race in the league comes from there.
Mm-hmm. 2 Monday Night Football games, Chicago at Minnesota. The Vikes are 6.5-point favorites against this Chicago team. I actually don't mind Chicago in some of their upcoming outdoor games, but against the Vikings on a fast track, Tim, I don't like them here.
No, they're the last part of the tease is Minnesota.
Although, I will say, this is finally the week where everyone has started to blow smoke up the Vikings' ass all of a sudden, after like not believing, playing a really close game against Atlanta, and then breaking away at the end on like 2 like weirdly underthrown balls, which was their entire offense. Now people are like, I even had it with Geoff, where like, should Darnold be like a dark horse MVP candidate? Should the top end guys flounder? Should Minnesota be taken for real in the Super Bowl conversation? That it almost seems like this is the game where Darnold throws the 5 picks.
Well, remember the late Monday nighter doubleheader last year? Tennessee beat the Dolphins and the Giants beat the Packers, in or 2 big upsets. So that we could have double upsets cooking here if you like some long shots.
You know what? I'll take the Bears then. 6.5 is a lot of points for Minnesota. Before last week, they were really just grinding out games against bad teams. Chicago's a pretty bad team. Maybe they can cobble up some offense here.
Vikings guy. I'll take the Vikings, but I was on the Bears hard last week, so I'm just broken.
And you're taking Minnesota, Tim?
Yeah, I am.
And the final one, Atlanta is at Vegas. Vegas is a 4.5-point underdog at home. Desmond Ridder starting for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't really think that changes anything, except now it's a revenge game against his former Falcons. This is the first game the Falcons have played in a while, Geoff, like when you take a look at their schedule, that they're playing a bad team. Like they played a run of good to very good teams, and now it seems like they're finally getting a little bit of breathing room. I don't know if that's going to work as well, because I don't know where Cousins is at, because he continued to not look good again against Minnesota. But this is a chance for him to kind of reestablish himself, to get himself into the playoffs where we can bet against Atlanta in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if he looks like horrible on Monday night?
If he
Raiders?
if he looks horrible on Monday night, he will not play a snap the rest of the season.
You could be right. It's interesting. We're drowning here, right? Falcons guy drowning, hand up, with the preseason future. Bucks guy up my ass. He's already passed me. Now I'm just trying to keep up with the draft. The thing about this Atlanta 4-game losing streak is they outgained the Saints by over 100 yards and missed all those kicks and lost by a field goal. In the Chargers game, I want to say, I'm bringing it up here, team box score.
Even last week, I believe they outgained Minnesota, didn't they?
They outgained the Chargers by nearly 200 yards, and they lost. So, yes, the loss to the Broncos was polarizing and bad, and then they came off it with the bye, and then the Charger game, and then last week the final score didn't look good. But in terms of this stretch of games, they should have easily just been 2-2. So I'm gonna take Atlanta here. They get a lame duck versus the Raiders. I don't expect any Atlanta fans to be traveling, so this might be one of the games where the Raiders actually have a semblance of the home field. But I don't care. I'm just picking the roulette spin to turn up red for Atlanta here.
Atlanta needs it badly, Tim, and we know the Raiders they're not trying to lose.
I don't care.
You're taking Vegas?
I don't care. Yeah, I don't see how I could possibly continue to lay points with this Falcons team, which is in a tailspin. And the Raiders, while they're as bad as the Giants record-wise, the Raiders are at least fighting. They're in games. They're trying. They're dumb. They're not very talented. But, they're pushing teams. And so they're a live opponent in a game that will be attended by dozens of people in Las Vegas. It's a bad game. I expect the Raiders to maybe even win.
I'm with you, but this strikes me exactly the same as that Titans game against Cincinnati, where, Geoff, if I was going to take Atlanta -4.5, I'd take Atlanta -15.
You could be onto something.
If they get into a rock fight with Vegas, they're going to lose.
Yeah. You'll know quickly. If it's rock fight Falcons, then maybe you abort.
Yeah, because the Falcons will do very genius things like be 4th and 3 and run a 1-yard play. That's how they lost to the Saints. Oh, it's 4th and 3. What's our player? Oh, let's run a 1-yard out near the sidelines. Okay, game over. Thanks.
Other than the Cousins picks, there were a couple times in the Chargers game late where it was 3rd and 1, and they ran these jet sweeps, and the Chargers blew them up, and then it was 4th and 4, and the Chargers would stop them. But I'm actually with you. I could see myself outlining. I don't know about 14, but I could outline this to 9.5 maybe on Monday.
Yeah, I mean that's the bet of the week. Atlanta -9.5, Cincinnati -9.5. Parlay those two together, you probably win 5 times your money. And then you can just parlay Tennessee and Vegas money lines on the other side, and hopefully you get the optimal outcomes either way. You're thinking about it. I can see it.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm staring at the grid and trying to pick a super lock.
All right, well, let's get to that. The super locks for week number 15. Tim, you are committed to the Carolina Panthers.
Feel good about it, too.
I see that. Feeling pretty good.
I mean, I don't have anything.
I'm down to...
Yes, you do. You already said you had a super lock, Geoff.
Well, I don't want to use that one.
Why not?
What was it?
I think
Jumbo Jets.
I think it's the Jets, but I don't want to use it. I'll take it. Fine, Jets.
Jets -3.5 for...
What are you thinking between?
He couldn't lose.
I'm between, actually, the Jets, Washington, and Denver. Those were the three that jumped out to me those are locks, and then that means probably all going to lose. I'm going to take Yeah, you know what? I am going to take Washington. I'll take Washington -7 on the road against New Orleans just to stomp them. There's another alt-line team for you, Tim.
I agree with you there.
Would you like to recap your teaser, which was a winner last week? Let's see if you can make it 2 in a row.
All right, folks. We are teasing down the Commanders, teasing down the Vikings, teasing up the Buccaneers, up the Patriots, and up the Dolphins. 6-point teaser, plus 400.
And the plus 400 from last week almost gets you out of the red for the year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's very close.
It sure does.
You're right around even. And it was your 30th ever win on the free money.
Huzzah!
You are now 30 and 148.
Not doing too badly.
No,
The CEO shooter. How did that guy not like chop some of his eyebrows off? Like those are distinctive eyebrows. They got him got.
That's a Cam question. Who watches all those like true crime
I
mysteries?
don't know. I watched Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. You don't got to be a genius to know those eyebrows got to go. Sorry. Just saying about that.
Does seem like if a person were to do something like that, they would like dye their hair or something, right?
Yeah, you've
Tim,
seen
though,
The
but-
Bourne Identity?
Before we exit, it's only December, but are you going back? Mets World Series?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, locked, right?
I mean, I don't know about locked, but I mean, I would pick them right now, all things considered.
You pick them every year for a decade, so you
Not
can't get off
every
now.
year.
You've picked
but
them every
most
you've
years.
picked them every year for the past 7 years. We had someone effort this.
Most okay. Well, I do pick them most years. I didn't know I picked them.
Hey, they
every-
went to the NFC Championship last year. You were close.
Yeah, they went to the NLCS. That's right. They had their opportunities,
All right.
and they had Soto, who's a marvelous hitter.
Well, that will do it on the Pat Mayo experience for week number 15. I'd like to thank the coin, Jared and Paul, Geoff, and Tim Undercust.
Tim and August.
That's not my name.
So going forward, I've mentioned this to Tim, Geoff, that we can do one of two things. We can either record this show on Monday, not next week, but the week after and the week after, because the Tuesday is New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve, which we're probably not going to record on. And we can do like 2 mini shows where we do like the Island games as one show and then do the full slate for one show. One will come out on a Tuesday, one would come out on a Wednesday, which would be Christmas and New Year's Day. Or you would join us for the Sunday night show. We do a recap and do like Thursday night football and Sunday night and the Saturday games. And then we do the rest of the show on Monday. What do you think?
Whatever you think, I would be down for. I did notice the 24th, and I'm actually flying on that day, so I knew you'd not want to record that day anyway. But yeah, I'm game for anything. Those Monday records would be ideal. If you want to bang her on a Sunday, I'm totally game. So just let me know.
Yeah, do you think that would work, Tim, if we did Sunday Night Live, but we do like a recap and then we do...
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting idea. I'd try it. If it doesn't work that great the first time, we could do it differently the second time.
And we can't beep Geoff live. Oh, Paul, yes. Are there logistical problems here?
I just think about like doing the Sunday Night Live. If you're gonna do another show with Tim after all the sodium he has from the MRE, gonna have.
Well,
a
no, the
tough
MREs
time.
are done. We're out of MREs.
Oh, are we out?
Yeah, he's gone through them all.
Doubles left now.
Yeah, so we're on to new
okay.
food for Tim.
Fair. All right, as you were.
Yeah, so we're going to line up a few salt packets from McDonald's, Geoff, and just put them on a mirror in front of Tim. He's going to do them like cocaine just to get that sodium rush during the show for him to pass out towards the end.
Yeah, like we've joked before. I smoke a cannon, Tim eats salt, and we see like who lasts longer.
So yeah, let us know which one's optimal.
Well, I'm
for
good.
people.
You just let me know.
No,
You guys.
I was talking to the audience on that one, not you.
Oh, I actually didn't know we were still. I wasn't even sure if we were still doing the show.
He didn't do an outro yet. Even I know that.
Sorry.
Thank you all for watching the Pat Mayo Experience. Sub to the newsletter. Use code Mayo at Underdog right now to get that free pick and the deposit bonus. It would help us out tremendously. And listen, you need to help us out over the holiday season with all this extra content that we're coming up with while we're still live on the show, as Geoff just found out. Just smash the likes out of the channel, leave a rating and review, all that fun stuff, and follow us on Rumble. I hear it's fun over there. I'll see you next time.